Peace, everybody. I hope y'all are doing awesome. Just giving y'all a few minutes. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Good morning to those who's morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the show. Let me move my mic closer. So, yeah, I won't be too loud to you guys. I hope everybody is doing awesome. Uh, Texas has been getting a little crazy storm. So, the good news is you guys rarely hear me come on live this late or this early night. But I got lucky. No work today because North Texas got iced up, storm. Texans cannot handle icy roads. So no work for me today. Yeah. So it's my lucky day. What a blessing. So I can come here online and have fun with you guys. Talk crazy talk as always. As you can see from the title, right? Let me put it on. Uh, let's see. Yeah, my title is Russia versus Ukraine. What does the Bible have to say about it? Right. So it's a very trendy topic. So, like I always say, to capture people's attention and redirect it to the scripture, to the Bible, you know, you gotta lure people in, propaganda machine, I gotta use their game too. Game. So there's a lot to talk about, and the good news is I will allow to have a guest on to give their opinion, as long as they're not going too crazy. It's fine. It's late night anyway, so there's not a lot of people who's up and who's fully awake. Some people are just tired, they can't sleep, so they need to come on. But I'll allow some few rants for people's opinion. I want to hear all the other people's opinion, what they think about it, because, like I say, the media, they're very good at giving you mixed messages and swaying you to see one perspective. Like you, all for anyone listening to me right now, I mean, you can agree with me that the majority of every news station are condemning, President Putin, right? They say, "Oh, he's wrong, he's a dictator, he must be stopped. How dare he do this?" Right? They have all this opinion about him. But you know, In today's show, I'll show you the hypocrisy when it comes to Western media and what they want you to know. You know what they're very vocal and what they're silent about when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, what does the Bible have to say about it? Well, for those of you who know scriptures, it says what? Let me pull up one scripture so that who can be on the same page. There's a Bible verse that I put in my description. In the book of Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 31, it states, "And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another." And in Luke 21:9, it says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." And in Matthew 24:6, it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So, in summary, I picked those three verses on purpose to put in the description to basically let you know that don't be surprised if all of this is happening and don't panic like everybody else, because it is inevitable. It was bound to happen sooner or later. So, as it is happening right now, how we're told, don't panic. Yes, we know things will get worse in the years to come, maybe months. I mean, we went through this quote unquote worldwide pandemic based on the COVID. You know, they shut down the whole world. People don't know what to do. People lost lives. And most people died not because of the propaganda thing, but they died from starvation, famine, uh, isolation, high blood pressure, stress, right? Confusion. Nothing related to what the propaganda thing. And then they realize that people are starting to quote unquote not buy to their rhetoric no more, because you notice what did they say? Oh, we got the Transformers, like Megatron, and we went from Megatron to Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime, they're like, oh, well, we've gave everything, variant, they're like, well, what can we do to? Oh, I have an idea. Russia. Let us distract them with Russia. What a perfect time. And watch this, guys. Listen. Let me pull you to the ground. Let's use logic for a little bit. Guys, have you noticed that ever since this whole week when quote unquote Putin decided to do what he did and what he's doing, you notice nobody's talking about the con. They're not talking about it. Do you guys realize that? Every news station is zipped, quiet, nada, say nothing. It doesn't exist. They're not saying nothing for the last 6 days. But wait a minute. Weren't it the same stations that every minute, every hour, whenever they talk about any other news, they have to throw into what? The con. Oh, con this. Oh, con that. The numbers. Oh, new variant. Russian push the button. Russia. Oh, dictator. Oh, Putin. This and that. What happened? I mean, what happened to the con? Like, it's not doing it. What's going on here? See, guys? See, little details like that, people who are not even gonna, because people have been already trained to go with the motion of the pandemic, go on and on and on, when something major like this that could start a world war, right? This new wave of information and attention has shifted everything away from the bug to Putin. Now Putin is the devil that the world has never seen before. Oh my God, Putin! Look at this. Oh, he wants to take a country. Hmm, what perfect timing, you know. And listen, like I said, we know this word is ran by the wicked, the fallen ones. But I'll play the rhetoric. I'll play. It's like soccer. The ball is deflated, right? But you just go in there, kick it. You know it's deflated. So let's play along. Hmm? We're under a pandemic. We're crying, oh, we don't have the money. We need to bail out this. We need to bail out that. No, this thing happened. The European powers are, well, Putin, you cannot do this. And Putin is like, I'm about to do what I gotta do. And anybody who stands in my way will be destroyed. Even if I have to use the mushroom cloud missile. Right? So what did the Europeans? They're like, well, and some of the European countries, hey, I ain't gonna say nothing over there. Hey, I want to preserve my nation. You start to see the unity start to split up. Hey, I don't want to get to not, I don't want to get in between that thing. Hey, I'm staying in my corner. I love my freedom. I love my my peaceful season. You know, Putin is like, don't mess with me. I'm here to collect. Take what belongs to mine. you know. Marada, he's like, I'm here to recuperate my beloved territory for Mother Russia. You know, we need to take down the Western influence trying to set up the base around my nation. We must take it down. Spropadich, go over there and do your job. So, a lot of things are happening. But I also wanted to make this stream to mention the hypocrisy of the Western media. Now, Russia has just launched an invasion to Ukraine, and it's not even a week, right? And people are already panicking with a few dozens of supposedly dead people, because what some news are saying, they say, well, Russia is not just targeting civilians; they're targeting military spots, right, where like military bases and stuff like that to neutralize, throw panics, and sometimes civilians are part of the culture. I mean, that's just like in any war, right? But you see how the media is like blowing it up proportion. Oh, five Ukrainians, innocent Ukrainians are dead. This is a structure. See, what's the word again? It's slipping my tongue. This is a crime against humanity. Five innocent Ukrainians have been killed by, the dictator Putin's missiles, right? The whole world is saying, pray for Ukraine. Pray for Ukraine. Stand with the Ukrainian citizen. Hmm? And I'm sitting there, staring at them. I'm like, you hypocrites. Uh, what was the European Union when Congo was being invaded left and right from their neighbors, having soldiers from those countries massacre women and children, doing things that are imaginable that I cannot state here for the last 20 years, and over 15 million people have died by the name of under the direction of a dictator who's ruling a country in the east of my country. Where was the UN? Where was the West? Where was the United Nations? Huh? And those news stations blowing the killings of Congolese people out of proportion so the world could stand against quote unquote dictators who are behind the massacre. Where was them? Where were they? I mean, I'm trying to go back in time and see if the amount of attention Ukraine is getting, the massacre of the dictator Putin invading a sovereign country, killing its citizen, it's not right. We must put sanctions on them, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Where was all this smoke for the Congolese people when they were being killed, massacred, murdered? Where were they? Pray for Ukraine. And it hasn't been even 6 days or a week of war. You want us to pray for them? You hypocrites? How dare you? Huh? The same media that blew out of proportion, calling Gaddafi a murderer, a dictator, oppressing his people, so he must be removed out of power. And once he's removed, murder because of your propaganda machine. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we made a mistake. Those weren't his people. Those were. You know what? Let's turn to page. Our mistake. Let's never mention Libya ever again. Do you hear about Libya anymore on TV? What happened? I mean, Gaddafi's gone. Are they telling you the aftermath of their propaganda machine? What has happened to Libya? Do you hear about Libya anymore? Huh? What about Syria? Did the war in Syria just finish? Vanished out of the thin air? What happened? Why are you not hearing about Syria no more? What's going on? You know, I know people don't like talking about politics, but I'm kind of mixing it up. All I'm saying is, you know, the media, we have to be careful with them because their way they're blowing this out of proportion. And when you use logic, you're like, wait a minute, okay, I understand the influence Russia has being one of the most famous communist country in the world, but the killing that he has done when it comes to the Ukraine, nothing compares to what happened in Central Africa for the last 20 years with what is it? Two nations, Uganda and Rwanda and Burundi, that have been doing to the Congolese people. Nobody talks about it. Like, so I'm like, okay, the UN is over there. They have military bases, quote unquote, to monitor the ground to keep the peace. Like what they call peacekeepers. But wait a minute, if the UN is there and they're watching what's happening, but they're not saying anything, but then Putin does something they're blowing it out of proportion like it's the end. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the la 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 la. Like, what the? What's going on? Like, oh my god. But like I say, I wanted to just give a monologue telling you the hypocrisy of the media. But what I'll do is I'm gonna drop the link so I can hear other people's opinion. Feel free to express yourself because, like I said, I'm approaching it differently. But this is I'll call it like a clickbait per se. We know how YouTube is; they love to censor. So I want to hear other people's opinion about the whole war because at the end of the day, what we know is what they're telling us, and from what you're seeing on the news is we're being led one way to quote unquote, like if you want to put it plainly, to hate on Putin for what he's doing. Every news station, no exception, whether if you watch Fox News, if you watch CNN, BBC, NBC, MSN, doesn't matter. Everybody's condemning what Putin has done. My question is, why hasn't the same media spoken on something which, according to journalists, they say that the killing that has been done in Central Africa is has more casualties than both World War I and World War II combined, right? But nobody talks about it. Nobody's nothing, nada. They've never blown it out of proportion. So the question is, should we trust the media? Because the thing that should be told, it's not being told. But the things that are, uh, I mean, that will be told but not blown out of proportion is be blown out of proportion way more than something that should be blown out of proportion. Over 15 million people dead over what's I call it increment uh casualties or violence that's being done where a nation and goes crosses over the border, does criminality, goes back, and you have a co-opt government that's being led by those same power that have put the UN in their territory to keep the mouth shut and do as they say, and no international media whatsoever talks about it. Everybody's quiet because why? Everybody's benefiting. But why have they not kept this? To me, I'm like, they should all be quiet the same way they've done over there. You know, the same silence they've kept of millions of Africans being killed by dictators, right? They should do the same thing with Putin. I mean, they call him a dictator, right? So why should he be the exception to the rule? Is it because he has what, mushroom missiles? Is that why they're demonizing him now? Is it because Ukraine is beneficial to them? That's why. But are they trying to tell us that the Congo is not beneficial to them? When coltan comes from, copper, right? The minerals that's needed, uranium comes from there too, right? So they're both beneficial nations, right? They both benefit the West. But why is one casualty exalted to global proportion that the whole world knows what it's being done, but the other one for the last 20 years, the word has been silent. Nothing. No, don't say nothing. It doesn't matter. You know, I just wanted to point it out. So if you didn't know, I'm letting you know. So a question I'm throwing out there: should the media be trusted? Are they really telling us what's really going on, or we as people living, for us who living in America, are we being led towards a propaganda rhetoric? Are we being led to having a one linear mindset or train of thought when it comes to this situation? Or should we look at all the alternative? Because it seems like every news is looking at this and making us say Putin as the bad guy, condemning everything. But is that all there is to this situation? Or is there something more? And that's when I'll basically, you know, invite guests who wanna come in. I know this kind of topics, it's very it can get heated because there's some politics involved. But, you know, just to close it up, the Bible does talk about, it says you shall hear of war and keyword rumors of war, right? Because there are many kinds of wars. But the Bible mentions, says, do you shall hear of rumors. I always love that word, rumor. Right? Okay, before I invite guests, let me see. Uh let me look up the word rumor to dictionary, right? Let's define the word rumor and see what it means. Let's see. Rumor, a first definition, it says a currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth. Let me read it again, guys. What is the definition of rumor? What does a rumor means, right? This is the English dictionary. It says rumor, a currently, listen, a currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth. And here's the example they have this online in quotation quote, they were investigating rumors of a massacre. End quote. Huh? Do you understand now? So when the Bible says, it says, ye shall hear, you will hear of wars, and it didn't stop there, and it says, and rumors of wars. In other verses, it says commotions. So not only are we hearing about a war, we have to be careful that we could be hearing about a rumors of wars. So as we go forward in the coming days and hearing about Russia versus Ukraine, we have to keep this in mind. Yes, we're hearing of a war, but are we also hearing about a rumor of wars? Hmm. Something to think about. Let me drop the link. Whoever wants to come on, and I'll keep yapping until someone shows up. Let's see. Hold on. And I want to welcome everybody in the building. Let's see. Somebody that I saw earlier. Let me look at the chat. Uh, let's see. All right. Hold on, guys. Let's see. I dropped the link, so it should show up over there. Let me see who's here in the building. Hold on one second. Uh, was it God's wrath? He said, "What are these ugly faces?" I was saying earlier. Peace to James Brown. Welcome. Let's see. Uh, yeah. Was it God's watching this flat Earth? Says the world news is all lies. Yeah, man. Like I say, yes, of course there are certain things happening that we hear in the news, but can the news be really trusted? Because we have the record over and over and over again when reports are coming out. But when we look back in history, they'll be like, oh, it wasn't like this, it was that. So it's like the way they're blowing out of proportion, you know. But it's like, okay, show us really what's going on. It's not, you're not really seeing anything. Like, I saw CNN post news about, oh, two Russian choppers got shot down, right? And they showed a picture of the chopper. Okay, two choppers are down. That's nice that the Ukrainians are you know defending themselves. But okay, it's like what else? It's so I don't know, man. Let's see. Hold on. I see somebody in the building. Hey, Mela, how you doing? Welcome.
Hi. Thank
Hi.
you.
You, you heard my was it my studio voice? So you like talking.
I think there's a
I
echo.
think there's a echo. There
It's not
is. Hold on.
it's not coming from me.
It's not coming from me. Oh, to me because earlier when I was playing music. Hopefully it's gone now. Is it gone?
Let's see. There it is. Yeah, we're clear.
Okay, yeah.
You hear me?
When I was playing music,
Hmm.
what tends to happen is uh if I'm playing music and you like I'm streaming live, usually it doesn't sound too well, like it will be muffled. So I have to remove the echo so the music will be like clear. But then once the music was done, I forgot to turn off the echo.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm glad that you are discussing this topic. It's
Hmm.
important to me.
Hmm.
Um, biblically speaking, it's important to everyone.
Mm.
Geopolitically, there is something that we've all been distracted by ever since what 2013 when Russia invaded Crimea. I'm trying to figure out the name, how to pronounce.
Crimea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's keep in mind that Russia was once a part of G7, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There used to be G8. It used to be
Yeah.
G8, and then they kicked Russia's ass out, and it became G7
Mm-hmm.
because Russia invaded
Georgia.
Crimea.
Yeah. Crimea. It's a basically it's a city of the country called Georgia. Yeah.
Right. Now, what from what I understand, and I want to I'm not able to read from my notes, but what I'm what I'm trying to recall is that China was not a part, well, China was a part of them, and Russia and China made some type of oath to one another, right?
Yeah.
And China is not necessarily pleased that
Mm.
Russia is not a part of the what used to be the G8. And
Yeah.
so just because they tried to solidify they tried to bring they tried to make a united Ukraine by Crimea. They wanted to bring it all together. So
Yeah.
what they decided to do was invade Crimea or whatever. They tried to make sure that access was secure for China to have some type of export capability, right? Export import capability. And now Ukraine is apparently tired of that division, and they were seeking to join the NATO.
Mm.
And then that's when shit hit the excuse my language. That's when things hit the fan because if NATO gets involved, then you got a lot of countries that are committed to defending that country club, basically NATO.
Mm.
And so it's really complicated now that I look into it. And I wanted to point this out because all this time it is feasible to believe that the hypocrites and the liars and the devils and enemies of humanity are actually distracting us in media to the point of hypertension and nervousness and obsessive compulsiveness to watch this fake news all day about stuff that they want to program us with their fear mongering instead of actually paying attention to global uh plays that are going, like the theatrics of global leadership that's going on. There's a theater about this global leadership going on that's criminal, and people are not paying attention to it because they're too worried about the pandemic. They're too worried about just everything. They're just they flood us with all types of, and I they're not defending Africa like they're supposed to. And so that's an injustice. It's like there's injustices going on in countries of Africa, serious, terrible injustices, where there are minds, there are children that are being tortured and maimed, and all types of citizens, be it man, woman, or child, that are being tortured and maimed in Africa, but no one wants to cover that. So they'll distract us, you
Mhm.
know, with panic by constantly beating us over the head with these fear mongering news stories. And I'm not saying that none of that stuff is to be taken seriously. I'm just saying dig deeper,
Yep.
follow the money, and that's when you'll know what's really going on with that devil out there.
Eh, yeah, and the irony of everything since 22 started, right? I don't know if you heard about what happened in Mali, kicking the French out. I don't know if you heard about that.
No,
Basically,
I'm here to
France,
learn. I'm here to learn. Go ahead.
because of quote unquote terrorism, because remember I mentioned about Gaddafi and everything, right? So they were saying that, oh, Gaddafi basically was funding terrorist groups and allowing Al Qaeda to grow in his like the whole basic lie, right? So once Gaddafi was dead and buried, whatever, France used the opportunity under the old president called Sarkozy. He brought in French troops in the western part of Africa, like Mali, Chad area, Algeria, Libya, also. So they spread different
Who did that? Who brought in the troops?
Sarkozy, the
Okay,
French president that came
the
before
French.
Macron.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So basically, France was in Africa with the military stronghold in the and their excuse was to fight terrorism, just like America is in the Middle East, right? So Mali is a big nation. It's one of the most influential nation that France colonized, right? So they had three coups, right? Two happened last year. They've had one before. So the
Uh huh.
last coup that was in last October,
Uh huh.
the French government was saying, "Oh, they're legitimate. They need to bring in democracy, allow the the Congress to have a transition, right?" So the Western powers was basically disrespecting the new government, right? It's a military guy. So the military guy, he has like he's a representative to basically go to France and have the conversation. He said the Malian people, they want total freedom. They no longer want French influence in their nation. They want to be sovereign. They're like, we
Mhm.
already had our independence. So why are you in our country with your military? It's a sign of weakness. Now, I'll I'm progressing you so I can tell you why certain things are happening, because just to put in parentheses, the reason why they had the balls to do what they're doing to the French is because they had the help of Russian mercenaries on their side.
Mhm. Mhm.
So just have that in mind already. So the French are like, "Oh, you can do this," and then the French minister of was it foreign affairs, he basically says, "You guys are a legitimate government, so you can't really." The Mali government is like, "Oh, you calling us illegitimate government? No problem. We will show you we're illegitimate. We're gonna kick you out, take your ambassador, leave out, get out of the country. We're giving you 48 hours."
Uh
And then
huh.
they say, "Well, French citizens, we have no quarrels with you. We have no problem with you. You can come in our country, your business, we're not gonna bother it. Come here, make money. It's up to you. We have no problem with you, citizens. We have problem with your government. So out, French ambassador." And as the days went on, Mali decided to, he's like, French was our national language? No more. We're going to put our native language as the national language now. And we're dropping the franc money. We're dropping they call it franc CFA, which is the
Mhm.
French.
See, and that's a part of the IMF, right? The
Mhm,
International Monetary Fund, and
yep,
and when you step on the feet of the IMF, you got trouble on your hands. Okay,
mhm,
that's why they killed Gaddafi.
mhm. And you know why they're able to do this? They have the power where France is, they're in panic mode because they rely very heavily on Mali. That's like one of the largest
What
colonies.
what do they export from there?
I'll have to research again.
I think cobalt.
And there's something also. I forgot what it is, but it has to be. Let me see.
It
I
could
got
be
a small phone, so let me pull up.
yeah.
Largest Mali export, was it largest Mali export?
I don't know if that's the right word for it though.
Gold. Yeah, I knew it had to be something major. Yeah, gold. It says Mali main export is
Oh,
gold. 72% of total exports. Others include cotton,
70%.
fertilizers, yep, oil and iron. Main export partner is South Africa, 60%. Others include Switzerland, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and Ivory Coast.
Ain't that something?
But you notice they're not mentioning France.
Hmm.
So, like I said, not everything they're gonna mention to you.
Right. So
So,
Frank. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Like, because they're making it
it's
seem like,
all
oh,
about bogarting Africa, and
mhm.
they're using distractionary news to. keep people's
Yes.
eye off of what the
Mhm.
injustices that are happening in Africa.
Yeah. And here's another thing that happened.
Because there's too much money to be made there. So they have to, find a way to keep people distracted.
Hmm. And also, uh, while this whole Russian versus Ukraine is happening, Russia is trying to get its stronghold in Africa, and America
Yes.
don't want to have it. Like incident happened. My dad told me. He mentioned me this news. There's a country called Central African Republic. The
Hmm.
president was coming back from the EU AU, like the African Union European Union summit that happened
Hmm.
last week on
Hmm.
the 17th and to 18th. Like I say, you're not gonna hear this in CNN or no, you don't. They don't care. They're not gonna tell you. But what happened was it was a meeting of certain African countries and European nation coming to talk about. Their main talk was about my country, Congo, how they can split it apart, just like they did with Sudan. Remember,
Hmm.
Sudan had a civil war and they split. So their mindset is if a country is one, it's not good. We need to cut them like pieces of pie, just like we did the USSR, like we did Russia, so that those countries can have, one of us can have influence in different territories because this country called Congo has so much riches that we need to plunder, but we can
Hmm.
plunder if we have this country united. So we need to, we've been quiet for 20 years, sending other African countries, other black people to kill black people, right? So, but now it's not working. These people still together. They're not splitting. So we need to change strategy. And we had our citizens who went and marched against it. They were sending emails. They say, "Don't try this. We're gonna come. There's gonna be fire." So they panic. They changed the rhetoric of today to, "Oh, we're here to talk about the economy uh, and immigration between the two continents."
Ain't that something?
But did you hear about this in the news here?
Not at all.
And Russia, they had also conversation regarding Russia because remember, like I say, Africa has what 54 countries. How come only 26 showed up in that summit?
Mm.
Because not every African country is agreeing with the European Union, uh, you know,
Oh,
influence
wow.
no more. So something is happening. Like I say, the clouds of war is blinding everybody. They don't go like many Americans don't they don't watch international news, so they don't know what's going on. So everybody's being bombarded. Russia, Ukraine, for the next 2 weeks probably.
Mhm. I remember seeing a interview briefly with Putin. I think it was about 3 years ago, where um the reporter said, "So everybody's talking about you," and Putin's response was, "Oh, he said everybody in America is talking about you." That's what he mentioned, and
Mm,
to Putin, and Putin's response specifically, well, it's because they don't have anything better to do. Now that's contempt for
mm,
America. And to some degree, what that tells me is that America is too spoiled and pampered
mm,
to be, in fact, to be concerned with anything outside of America. It's like like even now online, how many black people in this country are talking about Russia and the Ukraine and trying to piece everything together? Nobody. They're talking about the gender war. They're talking about, fuck that nigga, fuck that bitch, excuse my language, but that's what they're doing. They're continuing the same stuff that, and they're not they're I know I sound judgmental, and I promise you I don't mean to sound judgmental.
mm,
It's not a foreign concept that Americans are self-centered. That's
mhm,
my point. It's not a, Americans typically are self-centered because we are encased in this so-called comfort bubble,
mm,
right?
mhm.
And a lot of times we how can I put this? We we're
I think
spoiled.
Yeah, I
What's
think
what's spoiled,
I
and
understood
and
exactly what you're saying.
and when you're spoiled, like it's like being in a womb. Like a baby in a womb doesn't have to do anything but just lay there and chill, right? And that's a lot of Americans. They're just laying back, chilling with their typical, behaviors throughout the day, as opposed to actually taking the time to study how the world interacts.
Mm,
It's really, really interesting, even for myself, that it was like, wow, I'm so consumed with the conveniences of America that it didn't occur to me to study geopolitics. It didn't occur to me how the what's going on a global scale actually affects things that happen in our everyday lives here, you
mm,
know, and to some degree we do have a powerful military that hasn't allowed anybody to quote unquote touch us yet, but we're not impenetrable. Somebody smart enough just hasn't come along to figure out how to do it, you
mm.
know.
You
um
want to know why? Also, you have to remember
mhm
most nations. It's not in their nature to want to go invade. They're comfortable where they are. But
mhm
there's one people who have a history of going across oceans and taking over. It's in their blood. It's like they can't help themselves. They have to do it. So you don't see China going beyond its territory that's had for thousands of years, right? Yes, you may have certain territories like Taiwan, right? Like them talking about it. But if people know the history between Taiwan and China, they'll be like, oh,
mhm
okay, we can understand what happened. It's like Japan, right? People
yeah.
do even people know that once upon a time Japan colonized China? Do they know that? But China is a big nation with millions of people. How a tiny
Mhm
country like Japan was able to colonize them? So the like things like that, people don't know. Like history is just weird. But if you don't know, you won't get
Because
it.
all we want to do is go through the drive-through of Popeye's Chicken and watch football. And that's all we want to do. And I say that sarcastically, but there's some truth to it. When you are encased in a bubble of false security, that's what you think your life is, just trying to make it in the bubble that you have afforded to you, as opposed to actually seeing what's outside of that bubble. Like when you see what's outside of that bubble, you know that any day there's a possibility it can burst. And then what are you going to do? You know? And so it's no accident that the richer are becoming more wealthy and that the middle class is becoming poorer, because um something's being fashioned to bring people to their knees. And this is why I really enjoy that you love the good book. You know, you love it. And I appreciate that because I was raised Baptist as well. And there's something to be said about wars and rumors of wars. I heard you mentioning that earlier.
Mm,
Um it rumors of wars, rumors, emphasis on the word rumors, right?
mhm.
So that's how the media comes into play. I'm not saying that people aren't dying out there. What I'm saying is that this is orchestrated for a
Yeah.
reason. And it's all about the money. It's all
Mhm.
about if you control that gold, then you're sitting on something. If you control those artifacts, if you control all those resources, then you're sitting on something, and they're willing to distract prying eyes, uh so that they're not found out, because it doesn't, what doesn't make sense to me, Fasting, is how there was a time that everybody thought that things would get better, you
Mm.
know, like things would just get better around the world. Like, okay, everybody wants world peace. That's what naive people thought. Everybody wants world peace. Everybody wants peace. No, they don't. Not everybody wants peace. And when we wake our children up to realize that there's a force of evil that's beyond our comprehension because it is a spiritual battle. You know, it's a battle of evil versus good, where they are assigning, they're possessing leaders. They're possessing the minds of people who are in power to implement these wars, right? It's like greed, because like that's one of the seven deadly sins, right? Greed.
Mm-hmm.
And so if an unknown force, biblically known as evil, and we already know what that S word is.
Yeah.
So if in the event that that force is given control to wreak havoc over the earth, then that evil force is going to need soldiers to implement the plan.
Oh yeah.
And so these world leaders that are in place, they're not in place because they're good people. There was a time we actually believed somebody, like, oh, that's our hero. No, it takes a special kind of evil to get to that level of power in this world,
Yeah.
you know. And so I think people forget that. I think they just admire them and think they worked hard and they earned it and they deserve it. No, they had to do some pretty unscrupulous things to get to that level, and you only are things that you can only implement if you're possessed by an evil spirit, because no one, I choose to believe that it's not in, I know it's not in my nature to actually do any harm to people. However, don't push me. You know what I'm saying? So it's in everybody. It just depends on what part the ultimate enemy against Christ is going to assign you to play the game, you know?
Yeah. You know what's
I I
interesting?
hope that made sense.
Oh
You
yeah.
know. It's late
Just-
at night, so I'm just
And
rambling, I think.
that's fine. Just mentioning, I don't know why, but I just blocked five troll accounts, like the spam. I'm like, wow, of all the people, why are they picking me? So I guess we must be talking about an
Does
interesting
that
topic.
happen often?
No, most of the time,
Oh,
if I'm talking like Bible stuff,
I
I'm making like one troll, but this topic, I just blocked five of them like right now.
yeah, maybe we should stick to the Bible so they can leave and be like, okay, they're still stupid. Let's go.
But it's more like I call them, it's those it's not like actual person per se, but it's one of those troll accounts where they just send codes and whatever. But I block them. So once they're
Yeah,
blocked, they won't do anything. It
I
happens.
remember RBR. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. I
Oh
remember
yeah, I know
years
him.
ago,
Ah,
4 years ago,
mhm.
he was going around talking about Russian bots.
Mm.
And everybody just was like, "Man, you tripping." Now what are you saying about Russian bots? And he was trying to explain it, and he didn't make himself clear because he was yelling and
Mm.
just being irate, and so his message got mixed up in the in
Yeah,
the
they were not like he had the message, but he didn't know how to convey it so people can.
he does it right. He actually knows, he's actually in tune with something,
Yeah,
but it's
he's.
difficult for
Mhm.
him to communicate it because he's so outrageous.
Like I think what he does is he comes like I said, everybody have a way of speaking. He comes with an urgency, kind of, when he says you don't know what they're doing, like he's coming with a.
Like Sarah Connor,
Yeah, yeah.
when Sarah Connor knew the truth and she was
Uh-huh.
just
And you know
cussing
what?
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was all about that business. She wasn't trying to hear anything else,
like
you
I was
know.
telling people years ago, I'm like, I think in one of my live stream I was saying to people, I'm like, hey, I know a lot of people who live in the West, they don't care about passport because they're like, why do I need a passport for? I got my job, I chill, drink, relax. I don't care about traveling, right? But I was telling people, I'm like, hey, It doesn't matter if you don't travel. Just have that passport because you'll never know. The pandemic happened, and they were talking on the news. They said, "Oh, because of the pandemic, if you're trying to get any legal paperwork, you have to do it online. It may take a while, 6 weeks to 3 months. You have to be on the waiting list and this and that, right?" And then things started to get kind of normal, and then bam, this kind of stuff started happening. So all I'm saying is the things they say what learn from other people's mistake. When things happen overseas, people tend to have passport, which allows them to travel, to flee, to go to safety. Like some of the citizens who are in Ukraine, right? Like the people, because I know some people that I have friends with, they have family members. So they'll tell their family members, "Oh, get out of the country." Now watch this. Your country is at war. You want to flee the country, but you don't have a passport. All government buildings are closed. Do you think you trying to get a passport in that moment is going to happen? No. Now, how can you run over to another nation if you don't have a passport? So what will end up happening is if you don't have a passport, you know what they put you in the category as? You're gonna be refugee. And refugee, guess what? You're not gonna be like everybody else. You're gonna be quarantined. You're gonna be put in a place, and you're not gonna have the freedom you have to move within the country. Why? Because you don't have a passport. People don't understand that. Look at the word pass. It's like a pass to go through to a
The,
foreign country.
here's the thing, right? With a passport being a tangible thing, you can hold it in your hand. What is preventing somebody crooked from just taking it from, like, look, I have my passport, I want to get in, and somebody just takes it from you. It's like, no, what passport? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, the providence of Christ has to come into play.
Hmm.
Either you're meant to be saved or you're not.
Hmm.
And I understand your message. It's a good preparation. It's good to be prepared.
No,
Of
to be safe
course,
than sorry.
yeah, it's better. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's better to have it and not need it than to
Mhm.
need it and not have it. Absolutely,
Because the
I
Most High,
endorse that.
he's a God of miracles. That's how I always say things. It's like you don't have to invent something, but you can look at people's testimony. Like, look at what happened. Like, different situation per se, like when civil war or something, and you hear people's stories. They would tell you, like, "Oh man, I didn't have a passport, or the passport expire, this and that." And the Most High, if they had the hand of God in them, He worked to get them out of safety. But even in a case of war, it's always good. Even if your passport is expire, that could be an evidence because they'll be like, "Oh, you know what? We know their country just had a civil war, and they don't have a functioning government. So this is their way of quote unquote getting in our country. We're gonna accept it. Why? Because this person is looking the law of
Hmm.
refugees. But it's always good to have something. Why? Because you
You
want to
know
have.
what made me nervous?
Mm.
I'm sorry. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's fine. You don't want to
Um.
lose your train of thoughts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. What made me nervous was how my driver's license, when someone asks for your driver's license, not to buy alcohol, okay, don't
Mm.
get it twisted, but I'm making a transaction that needed my identification to be verified, where they transcribe the driver's license number. That's all it took, and they wanted to make sure it was current. That's it, right? That was the pattern each and every time. And then, because they would write down the driver's license number, make sure that, my name is who my name is and all this other kind of stuff. And then they wanted to make sure that, it's current, you know. So now, all of a sudden, this proprietor, they want to see the certification begin date. They want additional information tabulated to, how I conduct business with them. And I started thinking about how it's rumored that Putin is he had something to do with infiltrating the the infrastructure of digital media. Like, somehow, so it's not, that's why they're calling them Russian bots, isn't it? Isn't that why they're, like there's some type of spyware going on
But watch this.
that's being revved up?
Who's the number one person who spies on Americans?
Americans.
Ah, so what difference does it make if a Russian is spying on us?
Oh, so they're just blame. Oh, they're doing it, but they're blaming it on the Russians.
Ah,
Okay, yeah, that
logic.
makes sense.
See how the media plays us like they think we stupid, like they're being hypocrites because why was
They
the report that came out? They said that
they want us to still believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I
Mm.
get it now. Okay, yeah, you're
So
right.
Russia don't need to spy on America. America is already doing it. So it doesn't make any sense. In order for you to spy on somebody,
Uh-huh.
you gotta have access to the internet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, watch this logic. America goes to Iran, huh?
Hmm.
They said they're based outside of Iran. Which Wi-Fi they're gonna use?
I'm listening.
I'm asking you, right? Like, in order for you to use the internet, you gotta access the internet, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So if America is putting military base in Iran, how are they gonna access the internet?
They're gonna use the signals in the country they're in.
Ah, so if they have access to Iran's internet, don't you think Iran knows that they're in?
Yeah.
So how would they know what Iran is doing if they have access to the internet and Iran knows that they have access to the internet and don't do nothing? So you know what it comes
So
to
it's
say?
lies. America's lying to us every day. Every
Yeah, and you know
day.
what also shows us? All those countries, those governments, they're not against each other. What does the Bible say? It says a kingdom that's divided against itself shall not stand.
Mm,
And we know that the kingdom of this world are one because they all
mm,
serve one master. There's no way
mhm.
Satan is going to be against it. But that's what the Bible says. It says, I will make them fight each other. I will create inner conflict. And while they're fighting each other, I'm going to be gathering my people to be going to a special place I will reserve for them. And there's going to be a time where when they're fighting each other, it's going to be like, wait a minute, why are we fighting each other? Have you noticed the people that were scattered? That God is gathering them together in a safe place. Let us put our differences aside and let's go get rid of them because they're the reason why we're fighting each other. So
Right.
for me, right, personally, you know, yes, I don't like suffering and everything, but because I believe in the Bible, I want things to speed up. I want those things that are spoken to happen. I don't care.
Mm.
Why? Because it brings closer. Like I'm like, if anybody believes in Christ, why would you want to
Mhm.
pray everything that's happening away? Why would you want to pray the pandemic away? No, you should welcome it. You should accept it. You should be glad. You should be happy. Yeah, bad things are gonna happen, but don't you want to meet the Lord faster than you expected? You know, I mean,
Meet the
I would.
Lord. How though?
He's coming to earth. That's what people forget. Heaven is coming to earth. We're not going to heaven. Heaven is gonna be right here. It tells you.
Mm.
So
Child.
look, people are looking above, but the Bible says it says what? My kingdom is hidden in it says, where do you hide your treasure? In darkness, in secret
Mm.
places. And
I
where's the secret
saw
places?
I can dig that. I saw a t-shirt years ago that says stop watching the skies and watch your back. you
Mm,
know, because, everybody's, looking for some heaven to come down from the skies, but actually your enemy is behind you, right?
mhm.
And that's what that shirt was indicating. But I think it was an advertisement for a movie that was coming out about aliens or some shit. But
Oh,
it,
it's Don't Look Up. Don't Look Up. Yeah, the movie was Don't Look Up. It's about
yeah,
was it Leonardo DiCaprio and the girl who played in the movie uh something about the like
I
the
never saw the movie. I saw the t-shirt. shirt, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it
wow,
just
that's
came
a
out.
pretty creepy statement.
Yeah. Well, basically, the premise of the movie, I don't care about spoiling. It's about an asteroid that's coming to Earth, right? And people who saw it, people who watched the star astrologers, they saw it. They tried to tell the government. The government dismissed it, even if the government knew, right? And they've been preparing for years. So that movie, it's interesting that you pull out that statement because the context of the movie is what I'm talking about right now about how the world media can something big is about to happen that will affect your life and they will bluntly lie in your face and tell you what you
The,
see up there it's not happening, keep doing what you do, and when things start happening and you realize that they were
it'll
lying
be
to
too
you,
late, right?
too late,
Yeah,
and you were
and
not chosen.
yeah, yeah, it's really something. So,
It's
do you think that the wealthiest among us are aware of this stuff, or is it just
uh
a secret club of G7?
some of them, like I always say, there's higher levels to things, right? So I'll use the military for an example. The general, right, the four-star general, he knows things that the one-star general doesn't know. They may share a lot in common, but the four-star general will have access to certain information that the one-star general will not have.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a major is going to have access to an information that a master sergeant will not have. So there are
Okay.
levels to knowledge, just like as a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may have certain knowledge that you're teaching your student, and your student one day will become a teacher again. But guess what? Even though he may have the quote unquote same level as you, your knowledge, because as a teacher, you may have had access some way, somehow. That one person may not have access to it, even though he reached a certain point of knowledge. So there's always levels of things. So the best way that I can explain is there are some rich people who are aware of the agenda and some of them who are not. Why? Because Satan plays everybody. Even the people who believe that Satan is gonna win in the end, that he's gonna kick God from his quote unquote rulership, and Satan's gonna give them a new earth, a place where they can rule forever. They're gonna have a new bodies, like a hybrid, whatever they want to live like. It's not gonna happen. So he's lying to them. That's what the Bible calls him. He says Satan has deceived the whole world. He didn't just deceive the quote unquote elite. He deceived all of us. Each group, each level, he has to sell you a certain lie that's comfortable in your understanding. That's what I tell people, even when you go to into the lodge and all that stuff, right? Depending on how you go up in the degrees, you reveal some things. Now, the difference between me being on the outside and having access to certain knowledge is those people who are within the organization, they're going they're gaining knowledge like a student, through steps. But me being on the outside, I don't need to do that to know the end goal of the information that they. But because those people they're trained a certain way, when they reach that information is going to be way more valuable to them than to me. Why? Because I'm not giving a value like they are giving a value. You see what I'm saying? So when a someone in the lodge is ascending those level, gets to the 33rd and finds out that they say, guess what? Doesn't matter whatever religion you are, we all worship the same Lord and he's Lucifer, right? So they'll be like the bright morning star. So a person who's in that initiation, it's gonna be like a profound information, like, really? So he's always been for us, right? They go, oh, Lucifer, I love you, right? But someone like me who's aware to Satan's deception, I'm gonna look at it and laugh. But you're gonna have someone who's on the outside, just like me, who has the Bible, who don't even understand that, who don't even get it. So it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like just because someone knows what you know doesn't mean he knows what you know. Did that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
Ironically, that does make sense.
yeah,
You know,
it's weird. So
if you don't
the
know, now you know, even though
yeah.
you don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, the knowing, there's levels of knowing.
There's levels. Yeah.
Like it's like
Abs-
you know about death, that death is something sad, But at the same time, you can know that okay, yes, death is something said, but this is what death really is. I accept what it is, and I'm actually motivated, and I'm not afraid because I think most people, even the Bible says, it says Satan. The reason why Satan can rule the earth, you want to know why? Even me, once upon a time, every man and woman on this earth have one thing in common: the fear of death. Why? Because we don't know what happens. Nobody
The
who's
fear of the
won,
unknown.
nobody who's went came back to tell us what
And
death
that,
is.
yeah, but see, we don't want people going around killing themselves saying it'll be all right, you know.
Mhm.
So, I mean, isn't it healthy to fear death? Isn't that a healthy thing?
I'll put it this way: fearing to die, meaning you don't want to die, is one thing, but was it fearing death to the point where you don't want to do nothing? That's wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, so as long as there's a purpose, but
Hmm.
a mission or a purpose, like I watched, like for instance, there's this movie called Glory,
Yeah.
and you
And
know,
so,
yeah, and those guys, they went through a lot to be a part of that 54th Regiment of the Army, and they were sent to that fort to take, as basically, a stall tactic. Like, they knew that none of them were going to come out of that alive, right?
mhm.
They knew that none of them were going to come out alive, but they had no fear of dying for a cause. And so that's what you're saying. So there's nothing wrong with not wanting to die. However, if there is a cause greater than yourself, there's no need to fear dying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I'll put it
Okay.
this way. This is one thing I understand about death. Death is not the end because what dies is your body. The spirit that makes you breathe, the power, the source is the creator. He said, what?
Oh,
Let us make man after our image. So can his spirit die? What does
we're
he
all
say?
we're definitely all connected, definitely.
Yeah. He said, don't fear the person who have the power to kill the body. Listen to the key word. He said, don't fear the one who can kill the body, but fear the one who can kill what? Who can destroy your body and soul in hell.
Well,
Keyword: body and soul.
this is the thing. The soul is indestructible though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's
Right. So nobody
indestructible.
nobody can take your soul.
No, but watch this. What's the saying? If something is created, can it be destroyed?
Yes.
Now
It
watch
can
this.
be it can be restructured. It can be restructured. Like for instance, if I chop down a tree,
Mm,
some people might consider that destroyed, but they forgot about the roots.
hmm.
There's roots to it. So, there things can be altered, you know, not necessarily
Transform.
just, yeah, that type of thing, right? And my concern is about how uh it's not fair to be in pain, right? Like
Mm,
physical pain. Physical pain is a very powerful negotiator.
mhm,
Okay? There are so many things that people would avoid
mhm,
just not to endure pain. And that's the negotiating factor about this fear, or to fear or not to fear death. It's the pain part.
mhm.
It's like if you going check out, by
You
fate.
want to check out like quick. You don't want to have pain because
Nope, right. That pain, man. It's like, come on, man. Like, okay, I don't fear what the afterlife is. I just don't want to have to
mm,
go through a lot of pain to get there. And that's the negotiating factor. It's like, look, can we just like not deal with the pain, please? You
mm,
know. And I think about so many people that have endured. you know, physical pain in their
Mm.
lives.
Before they die.
And that's a
Mhm.
negotiator right there.
Yeah, like, and you hear them, they'll be like, "Let me just die," but you know what? When it's not your time, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to go through it. Like I said, sometimes you ask yourself, "Why does thing happen?" We will never know because
That
each person
suffering
has
is a trip.
each person have their own destiny. Like I've known family members who endure pains for years until they die. It's kind of like they've been wishing for death for so long. When it actually happened, you're like, wait, you know, yeah, it's sad, but it's like he been wanting to die for a long time because he suffered enough, right? But then there's gonna be
Hmm.
someone who doesn't suffer, who just taking away fresh meat, like just like that, and it's a shock. Why? Because it was something you were expecting, like losing a newborn baby or losing the mother while giving birth, and
Getting hit by a bus,
yeah, but it's
you
like
know.
because you're not in that body that's feeling that pain, you will never know because like I said, the soul, the reason why pain the body feels pain is because there is a soul in it. Once the
The
soul leaves,
the
there's no pain.
consciousness. So is the
Mhm.
soul consciousness?
Yes,
Okay.
because if you look at the definition of soul is your breath. But
Oh.
this is how to explain it because me and my dad we had this discussion. There is no difference between the words spirit and soul. Spirit is Latin. It just means breath, breath of life, meaning that energy that makes you alive. It's called soul. Spiritus in Latin. But I know, like in the Bible, that you try to say, "Oh, the spirit is something different than the soul." But when you look at the definition, it's one. There's no difference in Hebrew or in Greek. Nothing
Now
different.
that's important to hear.
Yeah. Now this is how. If you start breaking down the Bible, right? What did God say? He said, "Let us make man after our image,
The image.
after our likeness." Because remember, he repeats it twice: image and likeness. What is the definition of likeness? Something you can see, right? Can you see
Mm,
the soul? No, you
no.
can't see the soul, but you know there's something in a man or a woman. That something is that soul, something inexplainable.
So
That
the image is the consciousness and the likeness is the body. Is that it?
how should I put this? The image is what you can see. Do you understand?
Okay. Yeah.
It, how can you an artist when he makes a statue of a dog? Is it a dog or is it its likeness?
It's its likeness, but
Ah.
it's in the image of a dog.
Ah. So when God say, "Let us create mankind after our image, male and female created He them," and the He
Right.
is plural. It's not singular. People have to remember that. When it
Right.
says God, it says, "Let us," plural.
That's yeah.
So the question is, what is the image of God? Because
Mm.
you can't have an image of something you can't see. Watch this. I'm gonna show you the biblical definition of image. Let me put it up on the Bible dictionary. Hold it.
Hmm.
Let me see. Uh, oh, I see OG in the building. Peace to you and Zab, and also three more trolls that are jumping in.
Hi, everybody. I
Yeah.
hope you join us.
Mm.
I said the Bible says nothing about this war because the Bible was
I
written
already knows that.
2,000 years.
Yeah.
That's that. Okay, so what would you say to that? You know, good
This
morning.
is what I always say. The Bible
Good
makes it simple.
morning, Jay,
He
Speed,
says,
OG.
"There's no new thing under the sun. If
Hmm.
war happens, it's gonna happen over and over again. Doesn't matter what. After we're long gone and dead, war will still be happening, right? But there are certain contexts of prophecies that tell you or certain things that will happen leading to certain events in time, right?
Hmm.
So, but like I'll give an example, right? The slave trade to
Do
translate
you have the
slave trade.
link in the chat room?
Oh,
Do you have the link in the chat room in case somebody wants to um speak with you
oh,
as well?
Yeah, the link is there. I'm always posting it from time to time, so they probably don't see it.
Do you know how to pin it?
Yeah, I know how to. Yeah, I have
Hmm.
to do it from my chat
That'll
from
that'll
YouTube.
save you some. That'll free up the conversation time. That way we'll have more time to concentrate on our conversation, and
Mm.
you don't have to be concerned about watching the chat room because anybody that wants to join can just press the panel link.
Oh yeah. Let me see. Yeah, putting in a screen so people want to jump in. Let me get you the definition of
No, not that
image.
way. I'm talking about the blue box at the top of the chat room that
Oh no,
people
I
can.
already did it. I already did it. So some whoever is in the chat, they will see it. That one I
Oh,
just
that
put it for the screen.
okay.
Uh, yeah. Let me get you the definition of the biblical.
Yes, please do. I'm waiting. Yes.
Let's see. Okay, it says in verse 27 or also 26, it says, and God said, let us make man in our image. Let's see.
And
The word
Genesis.
image, it says,
Hmm.
from an unused root meaning to shade.
To
First,
shade.
to shade.
Image
First.
me.
Yep. Now, because it's talking about the Hebrew word. Now, look at the definition. Image, images, parentheses of tumors, mice,
Well, it's
human.
not on the screen, but I'm listening to
No,
you.
I'm reading it because I have the Bible dictionary with me. I don't have it online, but
Okay,
I'm
that's cool.
just reading. Yeah,
That,
and it says image, likeness of resemblance,
hmm.
mere, empty, image, semblance, figuratively. So it's giving you
Hmm.
different definition of what image is, right? Now, the Strong's definition, because the one I read was the BDB lexicon. It says
Right.
from an for now the Strong's, it says from a used uh, root meaning to shade, a phantom that is figurative,
Ooh.
illusion, resemblance,
Whoa.
hence a representative figure,
A
especially
representative figure.
an idol, image, vain
An
shoe.
idol.
And the word image that which means this, it's been used in the Bible in the King James uh 16 times. Now watch this. In the same verse, right? It says, let us make man in our image. And we saw what image means what? Shade, likeness, resemblance. Watch
Hmm.
this. The word likeness. What does it say? And you know what's interesting? The word likeness in Hebrew it says the mut, right? But in our
Hmm.
language we say mutu. I don't know if you ever heard the word bantu.
I've
Mutu
heard that
means
word.
mankind, but in ancient Hebrew it means the likeness of God. So in Bantu people we would say mankind, we mutu, or basically mankind, you know. And it's yeah,
Mutu is mankind. Okay.
uh-huh. And then it says, watch this is the definition of likeness. It says likeness, similitude, in the likeness of, like as, right? That's the lexicon. Now the Strong, it says, it says from Hebrew H1819. Definition: resemblance, concretely modeled, shape, adverbally like, fashion, likeness, as, manner, similitude.
Hmm.
Now, reading it again, it says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness.
Mm.
See, it's emphasizing God did not just create us after his image, he created us after his likeness.
Mm.
That's a very interesting.
And the fact that shade is a part of that um, is intriguing as well. You
Mhm.
know, because shade indicates it could be a cover, it could be, like a covering, to
Mm.
shade something. It could be a covering. Um,
It's interesting. Old G put something. He says, "Man has become one of us." That's what he says when man.
Yeah, I
the
remember
same.
that scripture.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
When they were building the Tower of Babel, I think, or
No, no,
something.
no, no. It's actually in Genesis. It's still in Genesis after Eve gave Adam the fruit and they were able to see.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. That's
Now,
right.
and here's another interesting. There's also a Bible verse because people get caught up in that word God. Huh? Now, to tell you, that word God is actually heathenistic. It's actually the name of a heathen god. Just to
Mm-hmm.
let you know what the word God's from. It comes. It's how should I put this? It's the English name for Odin.
Mm.
The English name for
I
Zeus.
usually I usually refer to my Christ, and that's I'm aware that that word God is
Mm,
it's something more commercial, I dare to say, as
mm,
opposed to something that is personal to my soul. you know when I think of the word God, I don't think of it as personal to my soul. When I think of the word Christ, I think of it as personal to my soul.
mm. You know
That's
what
just how I
Christ
think.
mean? Christ just means anointed. Now, here's the question I'll ask you: if you are
Hmm.
anointed, aren't you a Christ?
Yes.
Ah, what did Jesus? I'm using Jesus. What did Jesus say? He says there shall be many Christs, right?
Mm.
But not only Christ, he says false. Because if something is unique, you can't have anything else. Like your name is unique, right? If you have something that's common, it's no longer unique.
Hmm.
So when people say, "Oh, Jesus, the Christ," the question is, how many Christs were before he was born, and how many came after? Because he said, "What? I've anointed you. The you is you all," meaning people who will believe. So if Christ was the Christ, what are we? Because we are anointed. Aren't
Hmm.
we also Christ? Because the word Christ means anointed. It's not as special as religion has made it to be, right? Someone
Hmm.
who's anointed by God, meaning the creator, sends you a mission, you are anointed by his power. So you are a Christ.
Hmm.
But the character Jesus, when it talked about, he says, there shall rise many false anointed, meaning people who claim God sent me, but God has, or the creator has nothing to do with it. It's the other guy. So, I know these kind of topics, it gets heated because, uh, like I would say, there are levels of knowledge, right?
Right.
Someone who don't know, if I come and tell them, I say, God is Satan, like they'll be like, what are you talking about? Right? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, not everybody, I can talk to them like that. You see what I'm saying? So,
I can dig it. It is difficult to talk to some people in this fashion, and I find it refreshing to learn from others that are you know that study more than me. you
mhm.
know I find it refreshing because it's just refreshing. you know
Let's see. I see OJ in the back. Let me bring him in.
all right.
Peace and blessings, OG J Speed. How
Peace
you
and
doing?
blessing to you
a,
and,
ch-
Sister Miller.
a child of the Most High, yes,
Hey,
you are.
let me get this out of my ear. This other one out of my ear. Can
Okay.
y'all hear me loud and clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, let's make this conversation more interesting.
All right. Awesome. Bring it
Don't
on.
ask, I'm here to learn, so don't ask me any questions.
Okay, since I was born in a church and baptized and so and saved, and then I converted to Islam about 20 years later.
Mm,
Uh, then I converted back to a holistic way of living.
mm,
And the reason why I say I can make this much interesting, studying both of them faiths, um, let's just go back to my first question you didn't see. My first question is, who is us?
mm.
Now, I heard some people say it was talking about angels, but have anybody ever defined, let's make man in our image? That means us, our and
Yeah.
us, same thing.
A group.
Yeah, group. Have you studied who is us?
Now, in my was it in my ascension to knowledge, I'll say for now, because they always say like some people are not ready to certain things. To me, I'll say to us are the ancestors. That's all I'm saying for now. The us is the ancestors. So when they say let us make man after our image, it's the ancestors who are speaking with the creator, because people try to say that the creator was alone, the one responsible. Because when I say the one, I'm trying to describe something that's undescribable, right? Because he say, I mean everything. I mean nature, I mean the air, I mean the earth. So it's hard. Oh, let me see. I think OG drop off. Let me bring it back. Yeah. So as I was saying, OG, hopefully you caught what I was saying. I'll say in my ascension of knowledge, what I can say for now and what I'm starting to understand, when he says let us, the us, I'm saying it's the ancestors and the creator for now, for where I'm being led to. Because when you break down the what they refer to as entities, right? The
Mm-hmm.
entities that were in from the beginning. So sometimes when we says angel, the word angels means messenger.
Mm-hmm.
In Hebrew is Malik or Maleki in Bantu language. So who are the messenger? Because message is it's an attribute, meaning it's a job. It's not a identity. So when you say an angel is not a species per se. Because why? A prophet, someone who's bringing him. Like if my dad say, "Oh, go tell your aunt to turn off the water."
Mm-hmm.
The action of me going to tell my aunt my father's message, I'm an angelus. I'm an angel bringing a message. It's not
Mm-hmm.
an identity per se or my race or my species of being. No, it's like a job. It's like you're a mailman, you are a truck driver, you're a taxi man. A taxi man is not a race, it's a job. It's an action that you're doing.
So what would you say, Mello? What you think us would mean? Our us
The
interchangeable word.
I agree with the ancestors part because that makes more sense in my mind.
Okay, well,
I
let's stop right there. Let's stop right there, then, Mello. Then, if there's only two people on in the world and God, so we don't have ancestors at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, OG, like I say, OG. See, I respect you. Why? Because the scripture even says, it says respect the age. Why? Because they have certain things because they came before you, right? Because I know we're living in a time where people say, "Oh, you old," and and where you don't know nothing, like they don't understand. Knowledge come with time, and as the world is changing, certain knowledge change, right? Like looking at libraries, some books you can't find no more. Why? They don't want the new generation to have access to it. So if you minimize those who came before you, who had access to certain knowledge that may not be available in your time, you might be losing out. Okay, let's say they
Well,
had 50 books, right? In their generation. You have 200. Now watch this. You have 200 books, but they had 50. Your generation has 200, but guess what? You missing the 50 they had.
mhm.
So
I
who's
want to hear
really.
what he has to say about us.
No,
Oh
we're
yeah,
gonna move on. We're gonna move. We're gonna keep that on the table.
yeah.
Okay,
But
let's
So
yeah,
go. To,
you
let's go.
fasting.
Let's
That's
go.
a very good analogy, like as to why it's valid to always respect the elders. A lot of people don't respect the elders.
Oh
They
no,
just don't.
especially in this new technology. Anyway, so let's move
mm,
on to the next one. The next one is ye are all God's children of the Most High.
mhm.
86.2
Mm-hmm.
chapter. You
Psalms.
you
Yep.
read ever read that, Mello? Palms, Psalms. Y'all call it Psalms, but it's Palms, Psalms, because the P is not pronounced.
I probably have read it, but this is
I'll
I,
post it
I
in. in the comments so you see it.
This has to, I'm gonna be honest. This is new to me.
Mm.
You know, I think all the times that I was in Bible study, I probably wasn't paying attention. So yeah, this is new to me because I'm actually taking it seriously, listening to you all now. So yeah,
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
new to me.
Okay. Um. So let's go to the next third level. Man has become one of us. So
Mhm.
he had to move the fire into 4 different directions. So man couldn't have everlasting life.
Mm.
So when it says man has become one of us, wouldn't that include the power of God too? Yes or no?
Oh yeah.
I think yes.
But
And the
notice
only
it,
thing
it
we
tells you,
liken,
right?
the only thing we liken of is everlasting life.
Mm.
Because
But
that's why he moved
yeah,
the tree of life so we
away
could
from
never
them.
find it.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
notice in that verse, right? And it gives you the reason why he say man has become one of us. What? Knowing good and
And
evil.
evil. So that
That's
means
that part.
So they got
okay.
rid of that tree of life before it was all
Mm-hmm.
So
before it
we
was
can
a
not
done
live forever.
deal.
Okay. So if man had came into the knowledge, we're moving up a step. We're on step 4. If man has become one of us and he know good and bad, who created good and bad?
The Most High.
It was already existing. It's
Okay.
just that their consciousness wasn't aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that tree of knowledge was awakened their consciousness. They knew they were naked, for God's sakes. And then the tree of life, my question is, and I apologize for interrupting.
Go ahead.
However, my question is, why is the tree of knowledge and the tree of life there in the first place if they didn't want Adam and Eve to know nothing? If they didn't want, why the tease game? Why the tease? Like,
I'm
okay,
gonna tell you.
you can have anything you want, just don't touch these two things, these two trees that I just so happened to put in the garden and told you not to touch. You know, it sounds
I'll
like a
tell you.
crazy science experiment.
No, I'll tell you. See, the thing is, because they remove certain books out of the original Bible, when you read, because people have to understand, Genesis is like a summary, because it doesn't tell you like you have one person says, "Oh, this so and so lived for 600 years." Okay, and then you move to the next person. You be like, "Wait a minute, this guy lived for 600 years. Where's the history?" Right? So Genesis is like a summary. So if you expect Genesis to tell you everything, no, some things it omits because that's not its focus. Like just like a book, right? You have a focal point. Like if you want to talk about the crisis of the crack epidemic in, let's say, Los Angeles, you're not gonna mumble jumble talk about different cities. No, your book is gonna focus more on what the crack epidemic did in Los Angeles. So Genesis has a focal point
It's
in
so
subject,
okay.
right?
So it's
So
omitting
yeah,
information.
so you read Genesis 2 and you jump in Genesis 3 and it talks about uh the serpent coming in and the tree. You're like, wait, hold, slow down, right? So the context you'll find in the book of Joshua. What happened is when he says that God made the fruits out of everything, right? That men will enjoy. What happened is in some time, an angel, right? A entity called Samael. He didn't like that this new creation, because mankind was a new creation from their perspective. This new creation received all the authorities in this realm, or what you call earth, over everything, right? Because he's the image of the creator. So if the creator is the ruler of everything,
Hmm.
if man is created in this dimension, he's supposed to be the replica, right? He's the replica. So that jealousy, he's like, you know what? There because in I know in Islam they talk about, they say from their understanding, even other scriptures talks about, it says we were made with fire and this guy is made from dirt. So how can he be
Mm,
higher than us because we were made from the fire from heaven, right? So the context is in their jealousy, because they understood the material that man was made. Because listen to that phrase, it says what? Let us make man after our image. So if people who are responsible in creating this being, don't you think they will know his makeup? So by knowing his makeup, that entity Samael created, I'll call it the first GMO fruit. But I'm focusing more on the fruit part because I don't want to get to the esoteric, right? So this fruit was GMO. It was good, but it had a poison in it, so that when men will eat it, it will there's something because a poison will enter the body and the body will not be as functional as it should. That's why you read it says, out of the tree you can eat in Genesis, but of this tree which contains the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, because if you eat it, that day you should die, right? But
Okay,
watch this.
stop right there. Stay right
Mhm.
there. Very important.
Oh yeah.
Because you said something in front of this that was going to be my next fifth stage.
all
Mm.
right.
How many different meanings do the Bible have when it concerns fruit? Do fruit represents people?
It depends on the context.
Yeah, but
I remember the fruit of the spirit is
Hmm.
I remember
Hmm.
that. I
On the
remember the
con-
reference about the fruit of the spirit.
uh-huh.
so could it, let's just take this story to another height.
Mm.
Could Eve have came in to the yard of different races that represents a fruit? Because a lot of people like to say apple, never mention apple or
Yeah, it
anything.
never. Yeah, it doesn't say it. It
So
just
if
says
we
fruit.
take the understanding that fruit could
Mm.
be a word for people, maybe she came into another tribe and came into the knowledge of that tribe or whoever people, and then she took that back and brought it to Adam, and he came into the same people and he started listening to these people, and then it came into the knowledge of good and
B-
evil.
But the
Mm.
Bible also says Adam saw that it was good for food.
Yeah,
Mm.
but food,
Remember?
but
Mm.
see again,
No, but
food
I
can
see
be
what OG is
representations
going
for
with
the
this. Yeah.
nourishment of the brain.
Mm.
Okay, knowledge.
Yeah. Let
Knowledge.
OG like express himself because I know where he's going. So it will
Okay,
be good for the listeners to know his message. That way we can break it down. So yeah.
right. So these are the things. My grandmother was an evangelist. That's why I was born in the church. I was
Hmm.
actually born in church. I wasn't talking about in per se outside or just making a statement. I was actually born in a church.
In
I was born by
in in the church. Okay.
and so I was baptized by the time I was 9 years old. So what I'm saying is I did extensive studying, not so much studying, but it was a way of life. See, that's the difference between Christians back in the day when I came up and Christians today. Christians today are on they're Sunday Christians or event Christians.
All
But
right.
when I was coming up, I was a holiness. There was a way of life. So that's why it was easy for me to transfer into Islam, because Islam is a way of life. It's not a day that you just celebrate on Sundays
Hmm.
or Sabbath or whatever. So
Hmm.
I used to have all these questions even when I was little, when I was a small child. See, I've been called an indigo child, and I don't know if you ever heard of these
Yeah.
type people on this earth.
Mm.
Indigo children are children who with a knowledge. They born with a certain level of knowledge, and they
Hmm.
question everything.
Mm.
And then a lot of people listen to me talk. They think I talk to know everything. No, I talk to question everything. There's a major difference.
Yes.
Hmm.
And sometimes I start conversations may look like I'm making a statement, but really it's an underneath question. It's a Samuel French
You're
like
make,
trick, double tap.
you're making people think, but because people don't think, they think you're telling them
Right
the
there you
truth.
go. And that's why a lot of people don't get me. So I have all these questions, and then the big bang question. I usually take this as 10 stages, and then I come back and say, if the oldest person on this earth is 1.2 million years old,
Mm.
Lucy that was found in Africa, and a third part 400,000 years later. Then the oldest print press started off in the 1500, and if even you want to go back to the Strohs
Mm.
or the papers that Israel supposed to have that nobody ever see, um, how they are to people who supposed to have something that's supposed to be for the world, then you have to ask yourself the question: after so many millions, thousands of years, why did God start with them? Why did He start with that lineage, that family? We've been here so long. You saying, God, we've been here all this time, and God never spoke to us. Because if you follow the Bible the way it's supposed to go, that means the man has only been on this earth no more than about 6, close to 7,000 years.
Oh, that I'll say the sixth thing is how people interpret. Remember, OG, what did I say? I said because there are certain books of the Bible that people
Oh,
don't
yes.
have, they build a perspective, or it's literally a theory if we think about it, because you don't hear
Now
Jude,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Judaism talk about it. It's I'll put it. It's something that's not talked about. It's just a bunch of assumption from different congregation, because even if you study theology, they never talk about it. They just say, "Oh, somebody theorized this and that." Because even if you look at concrete archaeology, they say, according to archaeologists now, this is not me, people who dig the earth, they say that the oldest writing that they have on record is the Chinese, and it goes 5,000 years ago.
Okay.
So if you we take the Chinese as having the oldest record that archaeologists have in their hands, now we'll need to ask a second question: how do they know that Lucy is 1,000,000 years old when they only have a record of something that's 5,000 years? And
Mm.
the, the was it the tools they're using to calculate time is a modern. So
Well, wait a minute. There's
It's
carbon dating.
carbon dating. That's what they're
yeah,
using.
yeah, but it's like
Nella.
the thing is, okay, they call it carbon dating, but here's the question: how concrete is that technology, and how?
Again,
Yeah.
see,
It's
this is
the
where
same way you read rings. Like if you cut a tree down, God forbid, you cut a tree down and you look at the
rings
rings
that tell you
in the
every
tree.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the same concept as carbon dating.
right.
It,
What
So
they,
let me ask you
that's
this then.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. Even if you don't want to believe that, okay? See, we have something right in our face, even if you don't want to believe that we pre-exist before this Bible was written.
Mm.
See, this is why it was so important for our stuff to be put in stone and not in a book or not into what we used to call this papers,
Papyrus.
papyrus.
Mm.
Um, because we know man would come to a time when there was a time when all books and stuff was destroyed,
yeah.
when they were trying to kill Christianity and all that. We know it would be hard for them to destroy it on stone, etched in stone.
Mm.
So when you go into southern Egypt, which I have took 2 tours, you'll see it predated anything that was ever written in papyrus.
Those stone carvings. Okay.
Yes. So how do we
The
account?
Macedonian tablets and stuff.
Yes. How do we account before the invasions of the Romans? How do we account to this story? See, this is where the person who's the most powerful for at the time get to write the history at the time they are more powerful.
Oh yeah.
And each person after that get to write after that.
Mm.
And that's why we got so 300 and something different Bibles now, because
Right.
everybody gets to write now. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
my whole thing is, if Christianity is helping you to live a better life, then be a Christian. Is if Islam is helping you to have a better life, live Islam. If Buddha is helping you, or uh, whoever you might, Hare Krishna, whatever you may be, 7 Day Adventure, whatever you may be,
Mm-hmm.
you understand? because they do have a quote in the Bible saying, when they came to Jesus, say, look, we need to go destroy the people because they're not speaking of the Father the way he is. And Jesus told them, woe, and told them, are they good people? And they said, yes. The disciples said, yes. And he asked them a couple more other questions. But he said, maybe not with their mouth, but they're speaking of the Father in their life. By example, leave them alone. I forgot what scripture that was, but it's a
You
bevel.
were saying basically that they said that we heard someone do miracles in your name, and he said that they said, and they told him to say, we told him to not do it. He says, why? He said, if he's for us, then leave him alone. Meaning, just because he's not in our assembly doesn't mean that he's not for us, because he's doing the work that we're doing.
Right. And so we speak different languages. We come from different demographic, come from different geographic areas. And I think we all on this planet should have a right to practice goodness. You understand what I'm saying, Mella?
Yes.
So that's why I don't get into arguments, because I have been into what I call disciplines, religion, and I see the goodness in both of them. I see where both could be inspiring to some people's life who needs them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you come into the wise and you come into the wisdom and start understanding other books that was written and things that were said before, and there's evidence now that we can't, the world is so much smaller now with the internet, and a lot of things that people have put in papers that was hidden, now they're being exploited all throughout technology now.
Now,
I like for either one of y'all to go and research when the first person was called Jesus and when the first person was called Lord, and it's gonna shock you.
OG, let me also point out, right?
That's interesting.
You know when you say about time and what was, how the world is advancing. Let me ask you this: who says that we're advancing? Right, we were discovering new technology. How do we know they're not old? We're just recycling them. How
Well,
do
see,
we know
that's
that
That's a
it
good
right.
point.
existed
Hey,
before and was destroyed or hidden?
And we're
Right.
catching up again.
that's why I
Uh-huh.
tell you. That's why I tell you to go back to history, because that's the end of all that. When you said something, you said a mouthful earlier. There's nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you can go into a pyramid and see a man in a spaceship suit?
Mm-hmm. Or a
How can
fighting
you go
jet,
in the pyramid and see an airplane? Not a bird, but an airplane.
or using
Mm.
a telephone,
You understand what I'm coming from, Mello? So
using
what I'm trying to
electricity.
say is, it reminded me of this picture I seen 3 years ago, and I was like, why is I'm looking at this picture? It kept doing the same scene over and over and over again. This man was riding on a train with some white woman. I don't know what the whole picture was about, but the scene kept doing it over and over and doing it, and he was trying to get it right. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it reminded me of historically of seeing it going into the southern Egypt and going on the southern side, which they like to keep things hidden, a lot of stuff hidden.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Madonna that I seen that the Pope prays to, just as black as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And how did black become evil and white become pure? Now think about this. In the Bible it said,
They rewrote history.
yeah, but listen to this, Mel, is right there in the Bible that people don't even want to understand. It says, when skin become leopard, it become wicked, diseased.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all read that all the time, and you got to understand what is leprosy. That's just when the skin turned white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? So if a skin turned white, that means it had to automatically be something darker.
Mm-hmm.
Then you wouldn't be able to see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, the Bible is very clear. Now,
So people got to understand what the understanding of what you're reading. And then so when the Romans came in, they switched everything from darkness to lightness. And now darkness represents everything as far as evil, and white represents everything as being pure. Now, this is not racist. This is just how it happened. Nobody
I,
talks about the Timbuktu, the oldest institution on this planet, and it's in Africa.
Why did they knock the nose off those artifacts?
Well, for
That
the
was Napoleon. Napoleon, the French dictator, he knocked it up because like
it
something in his spirit was like, "Well,
it
like,
represented something that
he
was
didn't like."
not to their thesis of who are superior on this earth.
I
That's what
So
it
he
see.
really
knocked it
comes
up.
down.
Yeah, the Napoleon. It's a known history. Napoleon
Right.
Bonaparte is the one who knocked it out when
And
his
that's
brother
why
used
he got his ass kicked over
at the
there in
Haitians.
Haiti
Yep. And
with
they
50,000
use
souls.
spiritual powers to kick them out.
Hey, look, I got some bath water in here because this is on the free time I get. I'll still be listening in on.
Mm.
All
But
right.
I did a show a year ago. I'm gonna say a year ago, and I did another show with a radio station, WOL Captain Hewitt Station. What we dealing with right now, this Russian thing right now, it's been talked about on my side of the street for a while. I hear a lot of black people trying to tune into it and don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I deal with a great guy called Craig Hewitt, and he is
Okay.
a analyst. He's worked for the Pentagon. He works for what's the name? Some kind of way he got pissed off with the White House and the Pentagon, and he went on his own about 7, 8 years ago. He's been a guest on the radio station for the last, I say, for the last 7 years. It used to be on Coast to Coast. I don't know if you need one of y'all know about Coast to Coast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But they stopped him from coming on there because they called him an in lover because he was coming on our radio station. Okay. So they banned him from coming on that station. I'm pretty sure they're trying to get him hold to him now because he's been talking about this for the longest. And people keep talking about if this person was in the White House or that person was in the White House, this wouldn't be happening. Yes, it would. It would be happening. And it probably would have happened more faster. So what I'm trying to say is I'm gonna pull up that interview, and I'm gonna probably post it probably either today or tomorrow sometime. So it shows you how the people that I roll with, how far advanced they are in when it comes to political science, or when it comes to being an analyst for the government or different countries. These are the kind of people I roll with, where I don't have to have circle conversation. I hate circle conversation because
Child,
it's like talking to a
I've been
kid.
afflicted with it.
I know you was kind of afflicted with it last night. I didn't tune in, but I heard you last night on Coolest Channel. So I did hear
Yeah, was it
you.
cool? Because that was 3 days ago, I think,
That
maybe
was 3 days ago. Well,
3
whatever
or
it was,
four
I
days
heard
ago.
y'all.
Two
No, I
days.
think that was last night when he
Yeah.
was trying to
Well,
tell you about game and all that other stuff. I think
Thursday.
that was last
Thursday.
night.
Yeah.
Was it
Yesterday.
last night or the night before that?
Last night. Yeah. Last night.
no, I wasn't on Kuda's channel last night.
Yeah. 24 hours because right now it's 3 a.m. on a
Yeah.
Friday, and we were live with him on like in like
You
what's it
and I, you
4
and I,
a.m.
okay,
Yeah, it was faster.
No,
you and
it's
I were.
Tuesday. Tuesday. No,
It
no,
was Tuesday.
no. Wednesday. Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday.
Wednesday morning.
No, it was two. It was the 22nd of February.
It
Yeah.
was.
No, no, the
It
Well, the
was.
show
23rd.
ran for almost
No, it was
like
the
another
23rd.
It
day.
was
Remember?
the 22nd going into the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah,
But
you
we
correct.
spoke on the 23rd when it was already past the two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
when you
whatever it
came on
was,
the
I
panel,
heard.
it was the
I just stay in
23rd.
the
Yeah.
background sometimes because sometimes Mello, you got to understand. I'm up to pretty much. I get 3 hours of sleep every day. Been doing that for the last year and a half. So I'm
Okay.
up listening to a lot of stuff. Sometimes I don't type in, no comment, no nothing. I just sit back and
You're in the
listen.
clouds.
And yeah, I'm just being the clouds. I'm floating like God. But anyway, so
Yeah, but that
Because you
circular
are.
convers. So, what aspects of our conversation did you find circular?
well, I'm gonna just be honest. I'm not a fan of game
Yeah.
because okay, I'm not a fan of game because I believe you can call anything a game.
That's
I'm
right.
a fan of structure, and everything has a mathematical formula. You
That's
can
right.
call it game, or you can call it anything you wanted to. So, but I know we're as human, we're not robots. That means that not you can't apply that mathematical formula to every given situation. And what a lot of people like to do is try to do that. And that's not wise at all. You understand what I'm saying? There's certain things you would call explosion. There's certain things you would call the energy to go totally out of with the same mathematical formula. It's just who you is, what you associate it with. And so it can't work for everything. That's like saying everybody got the same foot size. And we know that's not impossible. We're not
Hey.
robots. We're not
Right. That's why we
machines.
all have different fingerprints.
Right, right. We're
Mm.
not machines. So you can't use the same mathematical formula even when you're dealing with the mind or the brain.
But
Right.
watch this, OG. You can use it, but the result will be like it's like watch this,
Different.
right?
Yeah, you can use
You can
wait a
use
minute.
your fork to beat the egg to open the egg to put it in a pan, or you can use a hammer.
Yeah.
Now, is it useful to use the hammer to hit the eggs or the fork?
Yeah. And it's gonna give you two
Either
different
way, you gotta
outcomes.
beat it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be two different outcomes.
So
Just
One
that is
egg
the
you gonna be
beating is
eating.
the
Hey,
game.
look, one egg you gonna be eating, and it's gonna be nice and smooth. The other one's gonna have shells in it, and which is
Yeah.
good for your body too.
Yeah.
The eggshell is very good for your body.
it
People throw that
actually
away.
Yeah.
is.
Mm.
It
It's
It's
actually
a
very
is.
good for the
calcium.
body,
Calcium.
and so it's better than what we'll get from a cow. But anyway, look, it's always I don't pop up more on these channels now because I told you circle conversations bores me. I've been around with some of the greatest debaters in the world.
Mm.
And so having to me is like having adolescent conversations is no interest to me anymore.
Yeah. You have to keep in mind that I was just visiting him. I
Oh yeah.
wasn't
No,
really
I'm
taking
not
the
talking about cool
conversation
per se.
seriously.
No, I wasn't talking about him per se. What
And
I
when
was
I say
saying,
not taking it seriously, it was just simply a visit. It was like
I
I haven't
understand.
spoken with him in quite some time, and
Right.
I just thought I'd visit his channel. Um, and he was welcoming, and it turns out that we still have the same
Good.
hiccups toward one another, and that's
Right.
pretty much it. Now, what
Yeah.
I don't understand is what's considered a circular conversation.
A circular conversation is not having enough information to know what you're talking about to be absolute, where you have to keep adding on stuff. A circular conversation to me is almost like a lie that you're trying to prove to be correct. And more stuff you add on to it, the more a person could put it under the microscope and have
Were
disbelief.
we doing that with one another, or was it just me?
No, I'm just saying it happens in them types of conversations. Because I could take the conversation of a game and I could have the conversation with
But see, this is the, before you depart, you are not getting specific about what you
well,
observed between, because you brought up the
reason
example.
why I'm not getting there's a reason why. There's a reason why that I'm being very vague in this conversation.
Well, that
No,
doesn't
no,
really
no.
help
I'm gonna tell
anybody.
you why. Let me tell you why first.
That's not being
Because
helpful.
I don't. I know it's not helpful. It's there's certain things, Mella, I do on internet writing or I do in personal things, and I don't broadcast it. Pinpoint things, certain
Yeah,
things,
I don't like to be
because I don't
teased.
want people to take things personal.
I don't like to be teased. Either you're going to spill the
I think
beans
it
or you're not.
stimulates the mind when you are teased.
No,
Mella,
no.
let me tell you something.
Yeah,
From a person, Mella,
it
listen to
it
this, and then tell me is
it
this
does
true?
not. It's irritating. It's not
Yes, it is,
stimulating.
and that's what's part of stimulating to mind is to be
No,
irritated.
no,
Because
no,
wait.
no. You're
It's
confusing that with agitation.
no.
Agitation
I'm not
can be
confusing. See,
stimulating, but being irritated means it's burdensome.
okay.
I'm
That
being
means
burdened
you
by
said it.
your
Hey,
evasiveness.
you said it earlier. You said human beings don't like pain. You said it earlier. So I'm gonna bring you back to your early
I'm being
conversation.
burdened by your
But it
evasiveness.
caused you mentally. It caused you some kind of pain
It
that
makes me
you're
not
not
want to
willing
talk
to
to you
deal with,
anymore.
huh? That you're not willing to deal with. See,
I'm
and so
I'm
you
not
wanted to know the
interested in
now.
being burdened.
Okay, you can use
Your
any.
evasiveness is
See,
burdensome.
this is what I really love fasting. I really
Mm.
love how they have exploited and became great experts of this King's language.
Mm.
But understanding the King language before a
See,
sound
I get
was
the
ever
feeling
made.
that you would prefer that I just know my place. I'm
No,
starting to get that
no, no,
vibe.
no, no, no. I'm not one of them brothers. If you have
Well,
ever been,
it's starting to sound like it.
no. Look, If you know
You know
anything
what,
about
Fasting? I'm
me,
getting ready to go. I love y'all. Peace and
okay.
black power.
Man, thanks.
Uh, if she
Quick
ever
man.
visit my channel, I
Mhm.
am the only one of the only brothers that they say champion for women.
Mhm.
If
It
you
just
visit,
I always call it just a misunderstanding.
yeah,
But
it's
you know,
well,
mm,
sometimes certain things could agitate because what I don't like to do, fasting,
mm,
is make things personal. You understand what I'm saying? I've learned how to maneuver through these YouTube street without making things personal. And if I have something personal to tell you about some of your content or what you said, I'll write you an email where it could just be between me and you have a conversation. You understand what I'm saying?
mm.
I think this is where all this beefing and all this other stuff starts at, when you start calling out people names and making it personal and go into details. You understand what I'm saying? If
Well,
I'm
it
gonna go
makes
into
good content.
details, if
It's
I'm gonna
like
go
once
into
you understand, yeah.
if I'm gonna go into detail about anybody content, I'm gonna call them personal and say, look, I have a little problem with that. I call myself a friend of your channel and I associate myself with your channel. And some of the things you said is very disturbing. I have just written a letter to one of the contact men. I won't even mention their name, but she or he respected that, because now we start to have a conversation in an email, or we can call each other and say, look, won't you look at this on this side of the street and see how that sounds? You
Mm.
might be maneuvering your people, and I know who you are and I know what your heart is, but you didn't do this quite right, and people might take it in the wrong way. I think that's the way grown-ups and wise people have conversation, to even give each person a chance to explore their own identity, their own ideas, their own thesis of life. But then when you can see where it may cause a hiccup, you can always pull that person to the side and give them some kind of counseling. And even if they take it or not take it, you don't do it in the open form where it seems like you're attacking that person. And
Mm.
that's what I won't do anymore.
Yeah. Hey, OG, I know you're into health. We've had plenty of conversation. Do you know that 50% of America are clinically called mentally insane?
I would
So
go
if
higher than
50%
that.
of Americans are mentally insane,
I would go
I,
higher than that, fashion.
yeah, I know, but I'm using their own words. So that
Yeah,
means when you come online,
yeah.
expect 50% of the people you're going to meet are mentally ill. So you should
I've been
expect,
saying that. I've been saying that for a while. Fashion.
yeah.
I know I've been saying that for a while, that there are a lot of people I can just tell the way they type, and when they show their face sometime on what's the name, I can tell they're taking meds. And I'm
Mm.
talking about MEDS.
The
I
eyes
have a
show.
house full of people who are taking meds, and I know how their eyes look. Their eyes are
Mm.
so dead. You know what I mean? And I know
The
when they
eyes don't lie. The
right, the
eyes don't
eyes
lie.
don't lie, go straight to the soul. I
Mm.
can look at people's eyes and tell what is ill in them, from their kidneys to their bowels to everything else. And this is some practice that we don't forget. See, you know what happened? Why things destroy? You were saying this earlier. I think that was a good conversation. You know why things are destroyed when man gets so close to destroy his own self? Because this is the natural order of things that have been put in place must not destroy its own self.
Mm.
And so man, like we don't know how the pyramids was made. They keep trying to research, they keep making modules of it and everything else. Well, that knowledge was taken away from us because we don't know what to do with a gun, much less how they build
Mm.
without killing each other. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you go into the pyramids and you see um all these scriptures and all this stuff that it's been predicated in, even into the books of the Bible and the Holy Quran, then you understand that there are things predate the writings itself. And so when you understand that, you see where we all are connected. We didn't come from Mars. We all are connected. Well, regardless of what color, what everything, we are connected. You understand? The bloodlines. You ever follow what they have the bloodlines for the male? Everybody has that same trait in their body,
Mm.
regardless of what color it is. They
Mm.
have one thing in the DNA, and we're just 1% knowing what the DNA the DNA is. We had
DNA is just
1% of knowledge.
yeah, it's just a tool. Like I was telling
Right,
you, DNA is a tool, but even in our culture, in African culture, there are certain rituals that you can, that can because they didn't have DNA back then. But how did they know so and so is a bastard and so is not your son? They had
right.
certain rituals that you can find in the animal kingdom. How
Hmm.
can a lion know that this cub is not his
Right,
and kill them?
right,
There is a scent. So if animals have a scent, I'm sure men, we have something that we
right.
can tell from each other. So like you say, you can tell someone from their eyes, their skin color, if they're taking certain medicine, right? Like, oh, they have
You're
certain
right.
illness. So there is a way, there is a knowledge in that. But here's the thing: if the people don't have the knowledge, how would they know?
You're right.
How
And
would they
I was
know?
on there was a show not too long ago I was looking and they was showing all kinds of different colognes and stuff. And I was like, do they not know what they're really doing to their body? The
Mm,
cologne itself causes respiration problems. That's number
mm,
one. Number two is women who use day antiperspirant and deodorant is made with aluminum. And
mm,
I believe that is a direct cause of breast cancer because
mm,
women deodorant is different from men's deodorant, and
mm.
theirs has the women deodorant has because our pH is different, so they have aluminum in their deodorant, and so where is closest to under the arm is the breast, right?
Yes.
So this is why I say it's good to hang around people like Dick Gregory, a lifetime, and people historical people who are my seniors,
Mm,
and listen to their information. That's why I say the sun has been up for some billion years, the moon's been up. That it may seem to be funny, but when you really understand what I was saying, you'll understand that just what you said earlier. Everything that's here now has been here before.
mm.
Man
It's
has
it's
lost his way each time and start over again. It's like starting a film over again. But I don't
AOG.
want to get nobody upset because
He's
that's
a
why I
Christian
don't visit
OG.
people channel anymore, really. But when you talk, I know I can always come over to your side of the street
Mm,
because your heart is pure and we have a lot of things in common. I just don't like going in YouTube spaces now and getting people upset
mm,
because sometimes, think about this and I'm going to leave you with this. Mr. Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, we all taught through the same school of light. That's why if you listen to one, you probably hear every one of them.
yeah.
When somebody come and wake you up in the night and they flip the light on, it hurts your eyes
Yes.
and it could make you a little angry too.
And blind for a few
Right.
seconds.
Because the light represents knowledge. That's why that's why people get so heated in these internet debates and all this other stuff because knowledge sometimes make people angry
Mm.
because once you come into the room of knowledge you can't deny from that point on you didn't know. Now
The
you're gonna have
first
to make
stage
some
of grief.
changes.
The
Now
first stage of grief.
you're gonna have to make some adjustments. Either you're gonna have to deny it and say I'm gonna live like a man. A doctor tells a man you got a year to live if you don't stop smoking. And that doctor might smoke himself. But
Mm.
he's telling you you got to live a year if you don't stop smoking. Now you can't go outside our office and say you was never told. Now
Mm.
you got to make some choices. You got to choose to live or you got to choose to die. And that's what I found on these internet pages a lot. Guys who are not trained professionals, who are trying to be broadcasters, and who's trying to enlighten people, but they haven't lived long enough to even to enlighten. That used to be the job of the elders. Now we got children trying to direct children, and that's where the problem comes in. And it's not as big as we say it is. This is a small number of representation of who we are, what we are, and what we stand for. But a lot of people on the internet sees this as being everything and anything. It's no different than somebody who lives in California who's never been outside of LA County, never visited another state, never even went to another city outside their city, and they think the life they live is what it is, and that is the big problem in us as black people in this country, because white people travel all over the world with a backpacker. They call them backpackers. They don't go to summer jams and all that stuff when school is out. They don't do none of that kind of stuff. They travel the world with backpacking. They stay at backpacking motels. And
Mm.
so I know people from Europe and people from Africa too. They backpack too. And so until we start traveling, seeing different things in life, our perspective is going to be by our environment. And so a lot of things people talk about on the internet has nothing to do with me because I'm not in that environment. And when I see that environment, I don't embrace it.
Mm. There's a passage, a verse in the Bible it talks about. It says, "A well-traveled man knows many things." So, and not watch this, OG. You don't need to
Hmm.
read the Bible to know that someone who travels gains a lot of knowledge. You don't need the
Right.
Bible to know that. It's
No.
common sense, and the Bible
Common
just
sense.
wrote it down.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about, that's why I say if you a good Christian and you living by that way, you gonna be a good person. If you're a good Muslim or you're a good Buddhist or Hare Krishna or whatever you in life, long as you live your life to be rich and good, there's no one can judge you and say if you go live in hell or live in heaven, because I believe at this point in my life, heaven is what you represent where you living at right now. It has to be an importance in it because that's why you have this shell and this spirit inside of this shell. It's because it has to be for an important reason. So if you cold as hell. If you hungry as hell. If you starving. You understand what I'm saying? If you poor as hell. So you can live in hell, you
Mm-hmm.
know. To me, heaven and hell is a state of mind while you in this shell. That's what it means to me. I don't I don't parlay that over to other people who believe different, but that's what it means to me. And so I know energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Well, thanks, OG. Hey, I know it's been a while. I know you've been in the clouds, but like I said, we're living in interesting times, and knowledge is everything, and that's what made this stream. It's kind of like a clickbait because this topic is trending, but at the same time, people may have a perception that, oh, they're talking about this, but when they come here, they're gonna hear something different.
Right.
Something that's gonna be way what they're expecting, and I'm basically using this as another way to tell people that just because you see something doesn't mean that's what they're talking about.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah. Don't trust there's a Bible verse tell you don't trust what you hear or you see. It tells you the
yeah.
percentage of it. I
Mm.
forgot the word for word
Yeah, it
what it.
says that's why I say the lust of the eye, right? Because
Uh-huh.
when you see war, you see missiles. We
Uh-huh.
watch movies. It's a,
Right.
oh look, oh goody, it's a movie. It's capturing your eyes because
Right.
people who never went to war, they won't get excited seeing something like that because when you're in war, you seeing missiles is way different than a civilian who watch Hollywood movies, seeing
Right.
missiles,
Right.
CGI missiles blowing things up, or movies or hero, Rambo shooting. It's
Right.
different perspective. So it's like I think
Yeah.
because they blurred the line so much, people
Right.
can't even tell reality how you should react when something is real versus something that's entertainment. People don't can tell a difference no more. You know. That's how they can trick
I
them. Like,
hope Mello, I hope you replay this and please never think I'm one of these men who think women should be silent. I told you my grandmother was an evangelist, which the church say she don't supposed to be speaking. So I'm never one who who a brother who have 11 sisters always think that women should be quiet, because if I'm getting ready to get hit by a bus, I want a woman to scream and let me
See,
know. You see what I'm
OJ,
saying? So,
that's another misinterpretation. See, like I always say, people speak on things they don't even understand.
right,
The context of that verse, it was talking about order in an assembly.
right,
Because the man is the leadership. Even when you read it down, it says, if you have something to say, Don't say in the assembly, talk to your husband about it. Right? It's telling you that it's like, hey, something that's really important. Talk to your husband first because you have to look at it when you read it, it's vague, right? It's
Hmm.
like I'll put it, it's on the surface. But watch this.
Right.
Why did he say go home and talk to your husband? It didn't say go talk to your friends or go
Right.
talk to your mom. It said go talk to your husband. That should let people know that whatever that woman wanted to say in the church, in the public, God is basically saying, hey, woman, I know you guys love to yap, yap, yap. Don't yap yet. Yap with your husband because
Right.
your husband could guide you to say the right thing because women are emotional creatures. She may say more than what needs to be said. So if
Right.
she talk with her husband be like, honey, you bring something out. Like, let's say the pastor is doing something bad thing. Yeah, she can come and say the truth. But you know how
Hmm.
women are. She may say it in a way where even the children are gonna be in the building, they're gonna hear it. So if she go
Uh-huh.
talk to the husband being a man and having logical mindset is gonna be like, you know what? You tell him something good, but something like this, I don't want you to say. Let me say, because as a team, a man and a woman are working together, and the man,
They're the complete circle.
yeah, the
They're the
man is being
complete
the head.
circle of
By
life.
him going speaking, he's protecting the wife. People forget that it's about protection, but it doesn't mean you doing that because I'm a man. You should listen to me. No, like
Mhm.
I always tell people who don't know discipline will not understand the Bible.
Yeah. And I tell people this too. If women have a problem submitting to their man, most of the time it's due to the fact their man is not submitting to God.
Ah, now watch this, OG. I know you're gonna love this. I've talked to Kuda about this, right? I say, people always say, "Oh, in the Bible, the Bible guy, right?" I always say,
Hmm.
"You want to know why all this thing about feminism? You want to know why? Because most of our people reject God,
That's it.
and that's why they get what they
We're
get."
spiritual dead. We're spiritual dead, and that's why we're having so much trouble. We're totally
When,
spiritual dead because we've been social engineering and it don't work for us because the natural order things is out the window. Hey, look, brother, I gotta
mm,
go take this bath. Look, anytime I see you pop up, if even if I don't come up, I'm just in the background. You know, I got you. I need. I want to get a copy of your book.
mm.
Um, because I know you mentioned this about a year ago. You had written a book, and where could I get a copy of it?
Oh, let me see. I can give you the link, and let's say if you wanted a signed copy. Hold on one second.
Right, that's how usually I do it. I just send a cash app, and then you send me a signed copy.
Yeah, I can do that. One second. Let me see.
Okay, so um, let me see how we go there. Go ahead and give me your cash app.
Let me
Do you
see.
have cash app? Do you use
Yeah, I
cash
have
app?
it set up. What I
Okay,
can do is I can send you the email because if I have to send it to you, I'm probably gonna need your address anyway.
okay. Well, go ahead and go ahead and well, I can put my address in the cash app. But
Okay.
you could go ahead. My email is jspeedfornay,
I think
FORNEY.
I probably have emailed you before. Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
This is JSP because I remember that one time where you were sending me certain information. Let me see
Mhm.
JSP. Let me see if I've
I
done.
just put it in the room.
No, I don't think I haven't. I don't think I've done one. Let's see. Is it, uh,
I'm gonna put it in the back chat. Okay.
yeah, I'm putting it back to you. Let's see.
Okay. I'm gonna put my email in the back chat. Yeah, I'm gonna be coming out with things with I have a nutrition channel that I don't expose on this side of the street.
Mm,
And so it's been going up for about 2 years now, and it's doing very good. That's why I don't be around that much no more. And I pop in and pop out. I just don't have time for the BS no more, man. I don't hurt. It's
I
just like me
understand.
playing with children. I don't want to play with children. You know what I'm
I
saying?
understand.
I'm
It's. I would say when was it? It's just like me, right?
uh-huh.
Yeah, I can be around kindergarten, but guess what? Sooner or later, it's gonna get boring.
Yeah,
because
I
you
don't want
can
to play with the
understand me.
kids all day long. You know what I mean? And then it's kind of hard to hide that I'm an adult just by the level of my conversation.
Mm.
And if it don't fit into that carnival fair, like it don't work for me no more, man. I've been in broadcasting ever since 1976. So a lot of the stuff they talk about, I'll be listening to them. I'm like, you're not even really an expert in that, but I ain't gonna shame you. You know what I mean? I just like let me just bow out of this conversation because I think some of our ancestors they don't give them enough credit. You know, Dr. Clark Anderson and Dr. Ben and a lot of these other people, they just kick these people and piss on their grave, and they don't understand this is why they're having a problem is because they think we too old and obsolete and nothing we said can withstand what it and they don't understand like this first thing you said. Nothing new under the sun, man.
Yep.
That's
Nothing
what
new.
they keep thinking is all new. But they only think it's new because they're new.
Yep. And like I say, it all
Serious.
comes back to God. Like
Yeah.
most people, they don't want God. They hate him. But
Yeah.
my logic is okay, isn't God the one who created us? Who's gonna know, talk about who's gonna know woman more than God? But you
Look, man.
reject him. So
They don't like their hair. They know damn well they ain't gonna like God. They don't like their damn hair. So how the hell they gonna like God? You
but
know what I mean? They look
God
at
is
God
supposed to
like,
be
why you give me
masculine,
this
right?
messed up hair? You know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
don't understand they got the best hair on this planet and don't know why it's the way it is because it's an electrical conductor. It keeps them in tune with the universe. And they keep trying to change the structure of it, and that's why they going crazy. I ain't gonna sit up there and argue with no woman about her hairstyle because I don't have to because the ones I deal with, they don't wear that stuff in their hair. So I'm not gonna
Oh,
sit up there and
OG,
try to keep telling women about what to do with their hair. Why?
I hate. I tell you, same thing with my. I don't like weave. I give
Yeah,
her like what do you call it, a leeway on certain things, but I don't like weave because what's the saying? When you know, you know. I know what that thing is and where it comes from, so I won't
mhm.
wanna, someone that I care about wear that because I know its source.
Yeah. I
But
like to
the thing
swim
is,
and all.
people don't care. Even if someone find out about my $300 hair was shaved off of a dead person who's been dead for 2 weeks, you know what they're gonna say? Oh, they washed it off with bleach. It's okay. But like I say, in this earth, people make their choice, and every choice comes with the consequence. If someone, like I say, free will, do what you have to do. But remember, you better know what you're doing because there's always something that comes after the pleasure time. There's always something. So yeah, OG, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Shout out to OG. Let's see. Oh man, look at the time. It's 4 a.m. Is anybody awake out there? Are you bored? You're waking up, going to work. You know. So me, I'm like, I was at work, got off at midnight. So I was like, let me do some live stream.
I don't know if
Oh,
you can hear me, but my machine be acting crazy. So
hey,
anyway, good night, man. I hope
thank you,
everything
OG.
goes
I
well
sent
for
you
you
the
and your
email.
family. And Mello, I hope
And,
everything goes good for you and your family. So
mm,
I'll be my machine be cut. I don't know. I think I might have a bug in it or something. It cuts off when it wants to, but it don't cut all the way off. It just go like in sleep mode.
yeah,
So I gotta
I
fix
understand
that.
technology.
Yeah,
It's still a
yeah,
flaw.
totally flawed, man. You can't trust none of this stuff, man. You try to trust this stuff if you want to.
Hey, but they want you to drive an electric car, a driverless car.
Yeah, right. Wait, look, we got a whole fleet of them in Santa Monica. They getting ready
Wow,
to they getting ready right now turn a taxi service in Santa Monica with drive free cars. And that's supposed to be starting this year.
wow. Well, good luck to those who trust it.
No,
Mm,
they can trust it all they want to. I don't want to be in this vicinity of anything driving by itself.
no.
I'm
Mm,
serious. I'm serious,
mm.
man, because
I mean, it's you're basically giving it control to someone
uh-huh.
else.
Right.
But
Well,
I thought American love freedom. Don't they
yeah.
love freedom?
Yeah. They say the plane's been doing this for years, but I would say, well, you still got three pilots there. Regardless of if they've been doing it for years, you haven't took them pilots out of the seat. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? So they can talk all that
mm.
junk all they want to about automatic pilot and all that stuff
You're
planes
still
do.
gonna have the driver's
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah, but you still got three people in that seat. You ain't got nobody in that cab. You ain't even got a good robot in that cab. It's just driving by itself. At least put something in there. Shit. Let me know that I can have
Like
a little
was it
company.
a Total Recall? The robot in.
Uh, what was that other movie that Wesley Snipe and
Oh,
Sylvester
was it
Long was in?
Dodge Dread?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it
Dodge Dread.
reminded me of some of the, and you would go back if you go back and look at some of them cars, some of them cars actually came out in the future.
Uh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Go back and look at them cars, and you'll see, you're like, damn. Well, Hollywood has a whole industry as far as different occupations, and these people come up with these concepts, and they make these concept cars. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
make one or two of them, and then they make it seem like it's like a
It's a
thousand of them.
design. It's an
Yeah,
art. Like
that's all it is. It's
it's
design.
just like laptops
Right.
were in Star Wars, the 70
Yeah.
Star Wars. Come to
Yeah.
find out, the government, the military already had laptops in
Yeah.
World
Look at
War
the flip
II.
phone. What you think the laser taser was? What that thing they flip up? That's the first flip phone.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
So man, it's just like, just like I say, everything has been done before, but they don't ain't gonna never believe it. They gonna think they invented the wheel in 2021,
Yeah.
in 2022. They think they invented the wheel, but they don't understand this wheel
Mhm.
been here for a while. You know what
And
I mean? Hey
I
man,
always say the archaeologists when they dig the earth, how do you know they didn't find an iPhone, but they're
right,
giving it to you as something new?
right.
See?
You know what? It'd be good if you just go ahead and put something in the ground now with your name on it and saying, don't let them fool you. We had this once before, and put it in the ground and see what somebody come up with and discover it in somewhere in the future. Because
I
I
hope.
believe all time, there's no time. All things is the same time.
Meaning, everything is happening at the same moment
Same
in the
time.
same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
I
I
believe
truly
that
believe
too.
that. I truly believe that. And I
We
know
have a
people,
perception that
yeah,
someone is dying
right.
and people are growing, but those are
Yeah.
all illusion of the eye. Everything is
Yeah. So
that's
how can
why
a
they
man
say
go in
like,
space and stay for a while and come back 10 years older than who people was here? By his travel speed. So, people, if they really had a great understanding of what we is, what we represent, and who we are, and what this place is, what it represents, and who it is, or what it is, we wouldn't have some of these small infightings or fighting and all this stuff we do in life. It would be totally different. And we truly believed and understand, not only believe, but know who we are, what we represent. A lot of stuff we do on this planet, we wouldn't even attempt to do it.
yeah.
All right, man. Peace and love,
Thanks,
and
Easy.
always strive for the truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be blessed and good morning. Oh yeah, it's 4 a.m. So we have a lot of people who are waking up going to work. But yeah, I hope to all the listeners we just had very interesting, thought provoking conversations. Now, I wanted to mention something about technology, right? People talk about science. I always say most of the time, like when they say, the earth is like millions of years old, people have to realize, even though we learned that in school, it's a theory. It's not a fact. I'll prove to you. Watch this. If the earth is 13 billion years old, huh? Why your calendar says 2022? Hmm? I mean, wait a minute. If it's a fact, you have the scientific evidence that the earth is that old. Why don't you put it on paper? Why are you still keeping the lie going if 2000 years the earth is not 2000 years old? So if you keeping the 2000 years, that means what? You have accepted 2000 years as the truth, and the 13, it's a theory, right? Because the argument people always say about science, they say, you know scientists always do experiments. Once they find a concrete evidence and a concrete experiment and conclusion, then it's presented and it's established as quote unquote a fact. Now, I always ask people, when you tell me, oh, the earth is this and that years old, billions, you know, where's the fact? They'll be like, well, they did this. I'm like, no, 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 hold on. Because science is about what? Evidence and coming with a conclusion. Is it a fact that the earth is 30 billion years old? You know what usually happens? No straight answer. Excuses. It's a yes or no. Is the earth 13 billion years old? Yes or no? No? Oh, okay. That's fine. I mean, you know what's the saying? They say, it's okay to say no, you know? It's okay. I think a lot of people usually don't want to say no because in their mind, if I say no, that means I don't know. So therefore, I'm dumb, stupid. I'll look like a fool. But I always say, you better off playing like you're dumb. Why? You may hear something you never heard before, even though if you've heard it before, you may hear a different perspective and gain knowledge. You never lose gaining knowledge, you know. So I would say, that I always use that weapon. Shout out to everybody out there. I know you're in the clouds, We've had this conversation before. Like people say, oh, the distance from the earth to the star on Mars. And I ask them, have you measured the distance from Earth to Mars? No, but there's a formula. I'm like, hold on. You claim to support science, but do you have the actual evidence and measurement from here to whatever star you're calculating? I asked them, okay, the speed of light, right? They tell you uh light and sound have different speed. So I asked them, okay, how do you know that when the light of the sun hits the earth, that its essence transform? Why? Because in earth you have oxygen. Y- Are you trying to tell me that when the sun, because those who believe in space, I say, when the light comes from the sun, if the sun supposedly is outside of the earth, right? The earth atmosphere, when that light comes and enters our atmosphere, how do you know it doesn't change its compound? How do you know the atmosphere of the earth doesn't affect the speed of the light? So if you're using a formula within the earth to measure the light, you're measuring light based on what? Your observation of light, how it reacts within the earth. But you have no evidence, or you can calculate how light operates outside of the earth atmosphere. You see? So people are like, well, you overthinking about it. Wait, isn't science the ability to reason, to question, and coming with a concrete conclusion to your hypothesis? See, I'm a crazy thinker. I'm a crazy guy. This mind is wild. I think things like that. And those who, you know, have science as their, you know, support crutches, they don't like when you start thinking deeper than them and actually question their logic. Because I'm a man of reason. I said, okay, we talk about how each element is affected based on exposure to certain element, like sodium by itself, right? And what's the formula of salt? NaCl, right? Sodium and chlorine or chloride or chloride, right? Each element in itself, right? Depending on certain dose, and it's poisonous. But when mixed together, it brings out something that's good for the body, right? So right there, it tells you that there is a reaction when each element is exposed to certain element. So whatever the element is composed of, what we call light, you trying to tell me that the light is not affected on based on the elements within the earth, that how the light from the sun will operate on within the earth will not be the same as outside of the earth. Is that what you're trying to tell me? So things like that is what will help you expound or question some of the things we were told. Because what did they say? Question everything, right? Well, when they say question everything that we deem questionable. Don't question our knowledge, but question what is established by someone else other than us. That's why I always bring those kind of arguments. And someone who's honest with themselves, they'll be like, you know what? I see what you're trying to do, and it's plausible you have I just choose not to believe it. If you say that, I will actually congratulate. I mean, I will actually respect you saying that what you're putting on the table is something interesting, but I don't want to entertain it. I choose not to go that deep. But to bluntly just say that it doesn't make any sense when you know for sure that whatever I'm asking is very logical, it's because nobody, right? Anybody listen to me, right? When you study the speed of light, listen, I'll give you a homework. Find one person in the history of modern science, who actually measure light from Earth all the way to the sun. You won't find anybody. You know what you're gonna find? Math formulas, theoretical formulas. Huh? You understand now? That's same thing with the ocean, right? They tell you all the Earth is a ball, right? But they say the ocean is so deep they can't even go deeper down there. So if you want to explore and measure the depths of the ocean, but you yourself with all the machine you have, you say you have no way uh of going deep, or none of the machine can go, because whenever anything that tries to go deeper into the earth, I mean the ocean's shore, or trying to go down there, the pressure destroys whatever items tries to sink in there. It's as if something don't want you to go down there. So if you can't reach the depths of the ocean, how can you know the measurement of the ocean if you never reach the floor? Even if even within the earth, they don't even know how deep the ocean is. They give you a theoretical estim or I'll call it estimation based on their limits on how deep they were able to reach the flow of the ocean. Meaning, if they went down 10 miles underwater, that's it. Because any further down, the pressure will crush them. So they have to go back up, away from the pressure of the deepest part of the ocean. So, like I say, I watch documentaries, I listen to science, you know, knowledge and all that. So it's like someone who's not dumb and just sitting in class and just sucking everything in, soaking it, and just not questioning it. He's gonna be like, well, why? Like, the ocean. I'm like, well, who measured it? Uh, oh, they didn't measure it. See, when you start questioning what you're told, that's when you become the bad guy. That's when you become the devil. You shall not question nada. Don't question what we tell you. Just accept it. We command you. We dictators. We tell you what to do. So that is something that I've thought about. So maybe what I've said touch you. You probably thought about it. Be like, hey, you know what? This guy, he's making me think. I've thought about this before too. So yeah. Now going back to the topic at hand, as you can see on the screen, talking about current event, Russia attacking Spain. Earlier in my stream, I was basically trying to portray, I'm using this buzz topic in the news to basically show you the hypocrisy of the mainstream media, particularly the Western media, how they're blowing this whole incident, this quote unquote war, I'll call it rumors of war, to the point where they're making it seem like it's something that that's wild and crazy. It's unbelievable, something that has never happened before. It's something unreal. We must all the world must come together as one to stop this. But millions of Congolese people have died for the last 20 years from the same thing that happened. One nation invading the other, killing innocent people, right? Crossing borders to do its job because it wants to get something. And the world has been silent while the UN is in that presence, right? Meaning they're doing their culture, they're doing the murderous act while the UN military, the quote unquote peacemakers, are standing there and being referees, just watching, doing nothing. But they're supposed to be there to keep the peace. And the world is saying nothing. But Russia attacks one single nation in Eastern Europe and kill over what? Less than 20 people so far since quote unquote the invasion started, what the news is reporting. The first they say 5 people die. It's as if millions of people die, like how they're talking about it. Yes, one life is no different than a million life because why a life is precious, cannot be replaced. But why were you not so vocal and so sad when Congolese people were being killed in the east of the Congo, where the gorillas are, where the money is, where the coltan is, where the minerals, where the child labor exists? Why nobody was saying anything? You know, it shows don't pay attention to the media. They're liars. They want to tell you what they want to tell you. They're not going to tell you the whole truth. And they have to do this. Why? Because they know most of you are dumb. That's what they think of you. You're dumb and stupid. You're just going to eat all of our vomit, and there's nothing you're going to say or do to change our mind. We will do it, and you will eat it. It doesn't matter because we are your masters. That's what they think of you. And you know what? You believe it too. You believe it and you will act on it. Why? Because they know you. People like me, the crazy ones, the wild thinkers, the philosophers, they're like, yeah, they're not going to have an impact. Those are the crumbs that fall from the basket. But you, the main meal of the day, you do as we say because that's what you were programmed to do. You're following the program, so they have to sell you this whole propaganda. Putin is a bad guy. That there's a saying says the devil is the devil. Doesn't matter why he dresses. So you know. So who's the devil? They're telling you it's Putin. Hmm. Ah. You know. How many people has Putin killed? Hmm. We'll never know. But hey, if you have to compare numbers, I don't know. Hey, when you're pointing one finger to someone else, say, "You murderer! You killed this, this, this." How many fingers are pointing back at you? Huh? So, like I would say, we better be careful under this propaganda machine. Let's not allow ourselves to be persuaded to think one way or another. Let us analyze all the information that are available. Even if it's biased, always find something more and beyond what you're being told because most of the time the media don't have time to cover every little factual details. Factual, yeah. Factual details. What they do is the information that you should actually be paying attention, they put in articles online. They never talk about it. They're just gonna. So most of the time, you'll find actual important information, especially when it comes to international news online. Like you go to, like, let's say if you take Fox or CNN, you go to the article section. Let's say you go to international, and it'll give you like a list of hot topic nations or hot topic, and then you click on it and you start reading different articles written by different people and reference and this and that. You may spend like 3 hours, 4 hours. You'll be like, wow, I learned so much. Now watch this. Do you really think the 3 hours you spend on reading different articles about international events, do you think that 3 hours, the amount of information that you soaked in and gather, do you think the mainstream media is gonna do it when they're known for what? Repeating the same thing over and over every hour? The same 10 news, they're gonna repeat it every hour until there's like a new update. But they're gonna keep the same news like from 9 to 8. I mean, from 8 to 9, same news. From 9 to 10, same news. And let's say in the 10th hour, there's like, oh, uh, the ninth information changed. So they switch it up, same information, but the ninth is a little bit different this time at this hour because there's new information. But they're gonna keep it in a loop all day. Do your homework. You see what I mean? It will be the same news repeating throughout all the day. And if there's a little change, they'll switch it up just a little bit. So that is something, if you didn't think about it before, you're gonna think about it today. So ah, there's so much to talk about. I don't want to get too long in my stream, so I'm coming up to the uh third hour. So right now, I mean, what, 2 hours and 53 minutes. So in 7 minutes, it's gonna be 3 hours that I've been live. So I think 3 hours is enough. We had a few guests on the panel. They expressed themselves, and we had some people in the chat. But like I say, I'll before I go, all I can let you guys know is the Bible speaks about a lot of things. You have to read it to understand. If I have to sit here and pull all the verses that will give you kind of like a script of what events is gonna come by and by, we're gonna be here all day. But simply put, all I can tell you is the Bible talks about there'll be rumors of wars and wars, right? But it says when those things are happening, don't panic. It's not the end, right? So if someone come and tell you says this is the end of the world, no, because the it tells you says just because you see things going bad doesn't mean it's the end. It might be the end of something, the end of an empire, the end of an era, but it's not the end of the world per se. As because when people say the end of the world, meaning the end of everything, life, earth, water, nature. No, it's not that. So don't panic when you see stuff like that. But like I say, when war happens, innocent people perish. That is inevitable. Uh, Innocent people will perish, and that's there's really nothing we can do about that. That's just the way this world, this Roman world, is built up, and we live in it in different societies of the Roman Empire. If you didn't know, they told you in school the Roman Empire was destroyed, collapsed, but remember, like the phoenix, it rised, oh, it rose from its ashes. Wink, wink. And became more powerful than ever before it was burnt. So, peace and blessings to everybody. For those of you who are going to be going to work, have a good morning. Be safe. And like I say, do not let the media persuade you or lead you astray to a perspective that's not your own. Allow yourself to actually investigate and do your own homework based on what's happening around the world. And keep your eyes open, prepare. For those of you who are being hit with crazy weather, you know, food, shelter, and raiment. Keep yourself warm. Have food. Something that can keep you warm and your belly full while there's life stops for a few days because of bad storm, bad weather, no power, and stuff like that. So thank you very much, guys. I know for some of you it's early morning, me it's getting late because I worked from like afternoon till night, midnight. So hopefully I may get some nap, recover for a few hours, and who knows, if something happens, I may do some another stream because, like I say, I was supposed to work today, which is Friday, but because of the storm, I'm off today. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much. Be safe. May the Most High bless you and keep you safe. And remember, guys, question everything. Do not be led like a puppy dog into the vomit. Peace.